2412.
Veteran crisis hotline's calling in, so they have a female veteran's off her medication. She's over at the safe haven. Detective 12, cycle check that one out.
6 1 bullet, 2 point start, Vicky shots.
Office still stands for talk. No.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Silky.
Good evening, CJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't wait for tonight. We're going to have a really interesting show. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I've been so excited to do this one. So many people have asked me to do it, but and then you went out and you got the footage and the interviews. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, the members that were able to make the behind the scenes show last night, they got to see a sneak peek of those interviews. Can't wait to show you guys. Um, one of them though, shout out to him, Levi. After we were done with the interview, he was like, "Man, it was like when I was telling you where I was at and kind of what I was doing when everything was going down." He's like, "It almost put me back into that same day when everything happened." He was one of them that heard gunshots and was telling his coworkers to run inside. So it was pretty
Wow.
traumatic for him to kind of relive it. So
Yeah.
shout out to him. Shout out to both of them for their comfort and their strength for
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
missed it because I was actually doing a video for my second channel and I was like, oh, dang, I'm going to go back and rewatch it. And it was too late.
Well, and I told members, I was like, it's a special treat. It's going to go back on private until tonight, and then it'll be available again. You'll be able to see the members only that we did. But I wanted to save it special for tonight. That was just an extra sneak peek that I gave everybody that I really wasn't planning on doing. But, I like to give people presents early, like a day early than Christmas. I like to do that. Maybe even a week early. I like to give them something.
Yeah, everybody loves presents.
Yeah,
Everybody.
early ones too. Yeah, because you still got the day, but you got like a whole 2 weeks, a week leading up to it. Why not? Let's celebrate it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. If you're not familiar, thank you everybody for hopping in. I'll kind of show your ticket numbers as we get into it. So here's going to be the breakdown of the show this evening. We're going to go into the timeline of how everything went down. This is the Vicky White and Casey White manhunt that took place a couple years ago, that went from Alabama and ended up in Indiana. So it's kind of interesting how it all worked out. But we're going to go start off with the timeline of events. So anybody that isn't familiar, you can kind of see the exact timeline of how everything happened. We're going to play the 911 call after that. The 911 call is from when the pit maneuver and crash was happening, where they got apprehended. And when you hear one of the interviews that this gentleman's discussing, you're going to want to try and line up the 911 call with what he was saying, because then you'll exactly know where that car was at and where he was at when he tells you his story. Very interesting story too. I'm surprised, like, he was so close, just a few feet from the
Wow.
vehicle as it drove through that parking lot. So then we're going to go with a News Nation special that was 2 days before they were captured. And then I'm going to show you the real footage. I'm going to show you the routes. I'm going to show you the locations. I did get a little bit of drone footage. It was really windy out today, so it was a real pain trying to keep it nice and steady. But I did get a couple good drone shots out of it already. We're going to go into the live press conference when everything went down, when they were capturing them. I'm going to show you different body cams, and then we're going to go through those interviews as well. So we got a lot of stuff tonight, and it's going to be a special night because not only we got special stuff that's never been seen or heard before, but we got Silky joining us too for this show. So
I'm not the main event, that's for sure. This is like I'm just going to be an observer.
No, it's all right.
But
Did you
this,
hear? Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything about it being, from Alabama? Did you hear anything
oh yeah,
about, like, what'd you hear when it from
Well,
being down there? Like what?
like I think I said, the other day, I had only been working at the jail for a few months
Oh,
when this happened. So, I mean, I was just, getting to really know the jail culture, the corrections officers, and we were all shocked because this is Lauderdale County is north of me, but by several hours,
okay.
but still close enough that we hear about news from Lauderdale. And we were all stuck to the TVs, just, with our mouths open, like, oh
Hmm.
my God,
It was
how could,
crazy.
yeah. And I thought of she has retired since, but we had a lady who was very much like at about the same age range. She was about a year from retirement, and it was, I'll just call her Miss X. Uh, and it was like it blew our minds because this would be given the description of Vicky
Right.
White and how she acted and how many years and how trustworthy she was. We were
Right.
like, oh my God, that would be like Miss X doing something crazy like this.
Oh,
And
so you were kind of like, whoa, that would be like her doing this.
yes.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
so we were all,
Because she
we
did,
were,
she did have a really like she was about to retire. She had
mm-hmm,
award after award after award. So
right.
yeah, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
You could picture your Mrs. X or Miss X being
Yeah.
like, "Dang, for real?" It's crazy.
Exactly. It would have been just as crazy if she had done, because it was like almost like the same thing. Many commendations, been there forever, as trustworthy as anybody could possibly be. And I mean, we're all like, how? That would be mind blowing. And so, because we had somebody who was very much, I'll just go as far as say this: the hairstyle was very similar too, and it would be like, oh my God, you know it shook us, I think,
Mhm.
because you have such a closeness when you work in corrections, because you, like I said before, you have to have each other's backs. You are a team. You cannot be in that jail and not be a team. And when you have someone who hires in or whatever and is clearly not a team member, they do not last long. Okay. um
Mm.
we may have different personalities. Of course, there's going to be some people you like more than others, but there are people that you absolutely trust with your life. And so when you are working in that situation, you bond very quickly. And to have somebody there so long, now I will say, as we get into this, I was also flabbergasted at the lack of adhering to rules that Lauderdale County did,
Yeah,
as
because
opposed to my county.
there was supposed to be 2, right? And they just
Yeah. And I'm
there's
female.
right.
There's a lot of things I don't understand about this. And I was, have really been studying this case. And there's so many protocols, that were broken that I don't understand. And I hate to say that because I know what a hard job they have. And to some extent, every county has a bit of camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? We all work in the same field and we all
Mm.
have the same challenges. So we understand each other. But dear Jesus, I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's so many fumbleoos in this, CJ, that it's mind boggling. I'm like, well, you pretty much just opened the door and said, hey, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I get and it I guess they were made fun of while she was, around, while he was uh locked up in that facility that she was working in when they were because he was there prior, then he went somewhere else and then he
mm-hmm,
got to come back, and that's when everything
right.
happened. And during that first time, that's when, you know, everybody thought it was a joke, that they would make
Right.
they would make fun of him about being husband and wife supposedly. So, uh
Yeah. but something I don't understand, because I thought, maybe I'm wrong, I thought Lauderdale County was bigger than ours, but I could be wrong about that. But our people who have been there that long, like, I assume that Vicky was like a sergeant at least or something like that. Usually those kind of people really don't interact one-on-one with the inmates as much, because they're in supervisory positions. And I mean, they might be in the control room, but they're not, and that's not even usually true. Usually there are other places in the jail and supervising everybody. But even if they were, they're really not going to have, and in our jail, if a female is in the main jail, which is where all of our males, we do have a female unit, and there is a CO who is down there with them in that control booth. But in the main jail, there are occasionally some of our female sergeants who will, be there. But they will not be going down into the cell blocks, and unless there's a fight or unless there's some kind of something, they're not going to be in there even being able to have a conversation with the inmates. It was just so weird to me. How did they manage to even get to this point?
Mm-hmm. Right. And to be able, I mean, it wasn't, they got pretty far, really. I mean, it wasn't, as long as she could get him in the car by herself, that's all that they needed, and she already had everything ready. And it's almost like they had trusted her so much that, for her to be able, because this took a lot of planning on her part, and for her to be able to plan it and then be able to, for every single thing to line up for this event to take place, it's just like, what? How does that even take place? Because it's not like she tried multiple times to get him to go to some fake mental evaluation. That was the first time that she did it, and she got away with it. Not only she had to do that, but that had to line up with her parking her vehicle at Walmart or whatever parking lot that was, and then having all this stuff lined up, selling her house just days before. Like,
I know.
All of this stuff to take place, and because without one of those dominoes, none of this would have been able to go as long as it did. A week and a half.
Yeah. I can imagine, though, even if somebody was, first of all, I don't think that, if they really did think that there was some kind of relationship there, then shame on them, okay, for not really digging into this. But, I mean, they may have thought it was a flirtation on his part, more so than hers. I don't know what she said or how she acted. But, I mean, I know when I go, through the blocks and I see people, the inmates, the guys, I know what they're doing, CJ. Like, they got to keep up their skills. They got to keep up their game. So they're constantly flirting, because what are they going to do in there? And, they'll be like, oh, that's my wife. Or, girl, when I get out of here, I'm going to marry you. And look, I'll be like, I roll my eyes and I'm like, get out of here. Go on. But
they got to try.
It's happening, okay?
They got to try.
But exactly. They're just, they're keeping their skills sharp, whatever. So, I mean, I can see where an inmate would say something like that to a female. But if they ever thought an officer, I mean, as far as an officer or anybody, even like me in medical, if there is any kind of sign that there might be some kind of shady stuff or feelings going on, look, that's a no. You either get moved or fired or, whatever, but it ain't happening. And we had that just this year. We actually hired a nurse. That was,
what?
Yeah, we hired a nurse that was working night shift. She took my, one of my old positions, and, she was getting on the chirp with her cell phone, and she was chirping pictures back and forth to the inmates. And I'm talking about not so nice, like OnlyFans type pictures, okay?
Right.
And of course, like, I'm like, really, how stupid are you? Because the warden goes through that, and other people, and other sergeants, they go through the chirp messages.
Right.
Else do they know what's going on?
They were having phone calls even.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
this
and-
nurse was too. And as soon
Yeah.
as they found out, I mean, it was like, you're gone.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do that with Vicky and Casey White because they were having phone calls. She was placing phone calls while he was even locked up in the other facility.
Now, I thought she used a different alias for that visit. Did she go under her own name?
I don't know. You tell. What's the other aliases? I don't
I
know.
heard she had two.
I
That
know
was
she
just
had a
something.
double life. There is a video that I do have about exposing her double life or something like that, but
Oh wow.
I figured it was just when it came to the double life of the person that she played after they took off, the wig and all that. No, I don't know if she had like any kind of other double life. Other than that. Would be interesting to
Yeah.
know.
I don't know, but I know it was really devastating for us, and we were all glued to our phones, to the TVs, to whatever during that whole manhunt. I think everybody hoped that something, until we saw the video of them leaving in the Sallyport, everybody hoped that somehow he had overtaken her, that she was an innocent victim in this, and, she would be recovered safely. And then it became, as more information came out, it became apparent that it was planned on her part. And I mean, the feeling of betrayal and disgust and being flabbergasted, like, I think it did a number on all of us. Like, holy crap! You're looking around at coworkers and like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you can't even trust your own, the person that you're expecting to have your back in a sticky situation because it might be part of their little plan to do something like this. It's scary, They're
Yeah,
when stuff like this takes place, other people are expendable and when it comes to them because the main goal is just getting that person out.
yeah. I don't know. With her, I can't fathom. Okay, I can't fathom it. But she was getting older. He was, for God's sakes, he was 20 years younger than her. Like, what was she thinking? And on top of that,
Who
I mean,
knows?
just his history, he had committed and also confessed to, the horrendous unaliving of
Mhm.
Connie. What was her name? Connie something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't understand unless she just felt like, okay, it's time to retire. I've got my, my pension, whatever, and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Did she just need excitement? I mean, could she possibly have believed that his feelings were real? And I mean, according to his family, the stuff that I've read, it's like, oh, he really loved Vicky. Well, I don't think, honestly, and I'm not trying to be terrible, but I don't think, based on his history, that he really understands what love is. I mean,
Right.
was she just
everything.
a bonding person?
Right. And what made you think you were gonna make it and keep going too?
Yeah.
So it's like why go into a gas station for $1,200 if you even get that? you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, exactly.
come on, what you get in return? Come on now.
Yeah.
It's and unfortunately we'll never be able to find out what her reasoning was because, you know, the bullet that you hear and some of the gunshots that you talk about when we have the interviews come up and they talk about the shots in the car and then the shots outside. They keep stressing the shots in the car because there was news about how there wasn't any shots that were fired, but then you had witnesses that heard shots being fired, and here it was just based off the wordplay, not any shots fired from local, but that there were shots fired from the agents. So it's pretty crazy when we get to that interview. That'll be coming up here after a bit. First, we're going to check out the timeline here, and then we're going to hear the 911 call, and we're going to go back to the 911 call when you hear the interviews. We're going to check out the News Nation special that was 2 days before the capture, where they just didn't even know what's going on. But the crazy part is that the gas station where they ditched the truck at, that was already a tip before the News Nation special came out. So it's very interesting how it all played out. And then we're going to watch the live press conference that took place at the scene, talking to the people. And then I think it even has the Alabama, I can't remember his name. The head dude there at that facility. I can't remember what his name was. The white hair Southern dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't remember his name either. That's terrible.
Yeah, he'll be talking about it too. He'll kind of go through like what he's going through because, you know, they didn't even expect it. And then kind of going through their relationship, him and Vicky's relationship. And then we're going to be getting into the footage, the drone footage, the interviews, and then again the 911 call plus the body cams. You'll see the body cams as well. Yeah, we got those too. So, all right, everybody, this is the timeline. Thank you for hopping into. Please hit the like if you haven't yet, and I'm going to drop Silky's link in chat. So if you're not subscribed, please do. This is the timeline, and then we're going to check out the 911 call.
A convicted criminal and the jailer, accused of helping him escape from an Alabama jail, were on the run together for 11 days when their escapade came to a deadly end in Evansville, Indiana. Here's how the escape that sparked a nationwide manhunt unfolded in real time. Authorities said the pair first went missing on Friday, April 29th. Correctional officer Vicky White reportedly left the Lauderdale County Detention Center in Florence, Alabama, with a shackled and handcuffed inmate, telling coworkers she was taking him to the courthouse for a mental health evaluation. That inmate was Casey Cole White, who was serving a 75-year prison sentence for attempted murder and awaiting trial for the stabbing death of Connie Ridgway during a home invasion in 2015. So why would someone like Vicky White, an exemplary employee by all accounts, take off with this man, a confessed murderer, who once vowed to kill his sister and ex-girlfriend if he ever got out of prison, the same day she was set to retire? Perhaps authorities thought Vicky had been coerced or forced upon to go with Casey. At 6'9", 330 pounds, it wasn't out of the question that she could have been forced into helping him escape. But it was noted Vicky had already violated department protocol that was put in place by the jail 2 years ago when they first got inkling that Casey was planning to escape, that stated jailers could not escort inmates alone. That mental health evaluation Vicky initially claimed to be bringing Casey Cole to the courthouse for was nowhere to be found on the books, but the patrol car the pair used to leave the detention center was found at a nearby shopping center parking lot. Authorities also found Vicky had auctioned off her home well below market value and moved in with her mother a month before. She bought a 2007 Ford Edge under an alias name about a week before the pair's disappearance and withdrew $90,000 from area banks prior to departure, staying at a hotel the morning of April 29th. By Monday, May 2nd, the Whites had still not been found. An arrest warrant was issued for Vicky White that day, on charges of permitting or allowing an escape in the first degree.
Crazy.
A search was officially on for the pair, who aren't related, but there were reports that a romantic relationship existed between the two, Inmates came forward to tell authorities the two had a special relationship and that Vicky was known to give White better treatment than other inmates. At that point, both were considered armed and dangerous by authorities. The 2007 Ford Edge authorities believed Vicky used to aid the escape was spotted on May 6th in Bethesda, Tennessee. It was reported abandoned on April 29th, the same day the pair escaped. Investigators were tipped off that the fugitives were spotted with an F-150 pickup truck inside an Evansville, Indiana.
And I'm going to show you guys that you're going to see it in different parts of the footage here.
And a car wash on Sunday, May 8th.
They just ditched the truck. They just ditched the truck in a car wash.
The next day, May 9th, the alleged lover's spree.
Like the guy's not going to check the footage. You know?
Yeah. See, like, I don't know. At what point, like, she's got to know that. Here's the thing, is she's not stupid working in corrections and you have so much interaction with law enforcement and the sheriff, everybody. Like, how do you make such a boneheaded decision? I don't get it.
Right, Deborah. It was definitely not spur of the moment. I know, it's got to be. And this is why it's great having you on tonight, Silky, because you can put yourself in that position and be like, what the flying fuck?
Exactly. Exactly.
Not just us as we were sitting back here at our true crime shows and, specials covering it and stuff, and we were watching this going, what the hell? But, for you, I can't imagine. It's like, what the hell? And just like this, why are you out walking around in a, sit your ass in the damn truck and wait until you see the damn Cadillac, buddy. Like, what are you doing?
We were flabbergasted, and this was like the real life horror show that never ended for 11 days for us, and then seeing stuff like this, it's like, were you trying to get caught? Like, at this point, were y'all just ready to give up? Because, I'll be honest. I don't try not to cast too much shade, but he doesn't seem like the brightest bulb in the pack, but she definitely knew better. Even all the things. Why are you going to buy an orange car, for one thing? For God's sakes, get a white one. Everybody drives a white vehicle. Not me, but everybody else in the free world drives a white SUV, white car, whatever. They are so hard to distinguish. Like, it was like a fumbaloo from step one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Randy says on his show, do me a favor, Randy, if you can DM me, send me or anybody else if they can, send me the link for that and we'll check it out and I'll share it at the end of the show. He said that hold on, let me go to the comment again here. I said they was coming to Indiana, which they did. I said it on my show. See, we were just watching. What's up, Grizz? We were just watching. What's up, Matt? We were just watching the News Nation stuff. I remember, hell, it was crazy because I remember watching it because they were really covering it really heavy those last few days of the weekend. And then all of a sudden, the beginning of the week, and it was like, bam, just boom. They just showed up. But here they were led on like the prior week that they were in the area. So
I have to say I'm surprised that they went that direction. I'm guessing they were trying to get to Canada? Why not go to Mexico or Belize or somewhere, like get
the way the border is down there, why not, right?
Yeah.
They're starting to like discredit the student that was murdered in Georgia, the university student that was murdered from somebody that came in here illegally, was already apprehended prior, and they're trying to, and they're trying to downplay that so they don't have to take accountability for the border situation down there, and it's bullshit.
Right. It seems like you would go closer.
Why wouldn't you go down? Right.
Yeah, from Alabama, we're not that far. You know, come on. You could
Right. You just go through Texas, and you're freaking there.
Louisiana. Yeah, you go through part of
Yeah,
Mississippi,
not much.
Louisiana into Texas, and
They
on
probably
down.
would have made it. They probably would have made it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm like, why Indiana?
yeah. Yeah, Yoli, it's true. I've been seeing the news that's been coming out the last few hours today about that case and how they're trying to discredit it just so they don't have to take accountability for the fucking border. It's a bunch of bullshit. They're This is what I'm saying. When it comes to situations like this is when you see the true souls of people, because this
Mhm.
is when that shit gets exposed. All right, but this guy was doing a fumbaloo here. He was just sit your ass in the damn car until the Cadillac shows up, and I'll show you what you mean when I show you the real footage, because I drove the whole route too.
The next day, May 9th, the alleged lover's spree came to a deadly end. U.S. Marshals intercepted the couple's car, a Cadillac this time, and ran into it on Bunge Park Drive after a short pursuit. As the vehicle lay on its side in a ditch, Casey White emerged from the car. "Please help my wife," he reportedly said. "She just shot herself in the head, and I didn't do it."
And look at the picture. I want you guys, this is going to be important when we go look at the real footage, okay? See all the damage to that car? I'll show you what I mean
From
when
the
we get
car.
to I'll show you what I mean when we get to the real footage.
"Please help my wife," he reportedly said. "She just shot herself in the head, and I didn't do it." Casey was taken into custody. Vicky was transported to an area hospital where she died from her injuries. 4 handguns and several semi-automatic weapons, including an AR-15, were recovered from their car, along with about $29,000 in cash.
Woo, look at
Police
all
believe
that.
they plan to engage in a shootout with them.
Wow.
Authorities on scene said Casey White showed no remorse
That is
over the death of
crazy.
Vicky White.
Guess who bought it all, people?
Vicky.
Crazy. I'm going to go right back there again. Let you see it. Look at all that shit that she bought. Can you see it all? Yeah, you can see it all. Look at that.
I mean, did she have delusions of being like Bonnie and Clyde, you know, lovers on the loose? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Watch if you need that kind of excitement in your life, watch a fucking movie. You know? then you can go to bed afterwards, safe
Yeah.
and sound. You don't have to deal with
Exactly.
any of this.
Oh,
It's
$29,000 in cash.
Watch a
Police
movie.
believe they plan to engage in a shootout with them. Authorities on scene said Casey White showed no remorse over the death of Vicky White, who he claimed was his wife. At this point, authorities don't believe Casey White shot Vicky White, but said a coroner still has to make the final determination. Casey was extradited back to Alabama. For more updates on this case, head to WTHR.com.
All right, here's the 911 call now.
The moments leading up to the capture of Casey White and Vicky White were intense, to say the least. New tonight, News 19 has obtained a 911 call from inside their car during the police chase that led to their capture in Evansville, Indiana. Thank you for joining us for News 19 at 6. I'm Emily Forrester.
And I'm Greg Screws, and the capital murder suspect and the former Lauderdale County Corrections officer left the Lauderdale County Jail together on April 29th. And after 11 days on the run, they were captured in Indiana on May 9th.
While the two share a last name, officials say they are not related, but we are told they had a special relationship. Officials say Vicky White died at an Evansville hospital Monday night from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after that chase. Casey White is now at the Donaldson Correctional Facility in Birmingham until his next court date.
U.S. Marshals chased the two down in Indiana before ramming into the Cadillac sedan that they were driving.
Now, we aren't sure of the origin of the 911 call, apparently from inside the Cadillac, but police dispatchers believe it may have been an accidental call.
News 19 investigative reporter Dallas Parker explains.
That's right. From what we could hear in the audio and understand about the final moments before Casey and Vicky White were rammed into a ditch by the U.S. Marshals, Vicky White seems to be fearful. She can be heard begging Casey White to stop the car. Authorities believe she shot herself just moments before they approached the overturned car. Now, be advised, the 911 call audio you're about to hear may be disturbing to some viewers.
Hold on, I'm going to mute this music. And okay, so when I take you to the footage, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you guys where they started the chase. Okay, it was right before an intersection. And this 911 call is after the chase had already started. This 911 call is when they entered into the business property. And this 911 call is going to be important when you hear the witness interviews.
911. Hello?
Okay, when you hear this is important when you hear the boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Wait for the interviews. Right there, wait till you hear the interviews. Now they're still driving in the grass. Bam, now they got pitted. Now they hit the ditch. Trust me, when you hear these eyewitness interviews and you hear this right here, you're going to hear their interview right where they're at. You're going to hear the 911 call, the sounds taking place. You can put, oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy.
Hello?
And then unfortunately, that's where she ends her life. Right there. But we'll go back to the 911 call when we get back into the interviews. But I wanted to make sure you guys heard those two key points right there when it comes to it.
Exactly, right. Hiawatha. That's what I'm thinking.
Let me see here. Let me get this up and we'll go ahead and chat for a minute.
Yeah, this was kind of disgusting me. This whole thing.
That's what's reported, according to them. You know, when it comes to her injuries, I know that he was being charged with that, I believe, after this took place, after they got caught. I believe he was being charged with that. But I think they ended up finding out. Did they have a yeah, she went there too, Yoli.
I cannot imagine looking at an inmate that way. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Here's a Wikipedia link that has all the stuff regarding the dates and everything that took place if you want to go beyond. This is going to be a News Nation special here that we're going to listen to some of the people, some of the workers. Again, this is 2 days before what we just heard on that 911 call took place. And this is 4 days after they found out about them ditching the truck at the car wash. And then they reviewed the footage, and then that's when the gentleman that works at the car wash called in the tip. Now, this is the craziest thing about it, is that this gentleman still has not received. For real.
I know. It makes me so angry.
He still has not received reward money for calling in the tip, because where would think about it, where would they be if that person that was working at the gas station, because they showed up and checked out the truck and then they took off. So that's one of the body cams that we'll see, is that they walked in there and saw the truck.
Yeah.
But he called in the tip and he never got rewarded for calling in the tip.
That is just sorry right there.
The car wash is the location that not only got the truck being ditched, got the photo and video of Casey, and also was the video that caught, because there was another camera that caught the video of the Cadillac that they were using for the next car.
Exactly.
All in one location. and this gentleman called in the tip, and he's still, yeah, I'm not kidding. He's still he still has not received it. So I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm saying, like, sometimes when rewards are put out there, people really do that kind of work, and unfortunately they don't get rewarded for some kind of technicality or some kind of wording, and it's horrible because what if this gentleman would have never, you know, checked out the video and said, hey, and never saw what was being reported in the news, because it had nothing to do with Indiana at that point. It was all Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah,
They didn't know where else after that at that point.
exactly. I don't understand. I mean, somebody needs to explain to me what kind of technicality would keep him from getting that reward, because that's just
I don't know.
that's horrible.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, they didn't. All right, so this is from 2 days before, and this will show you they really didn't have a clue, and this is how good, because think about it. This 4 days before this show, they knew that they were last here at the car wash. They knew the next vehicle they were using 4 days prior to this. So that shows you how they're not even, because they know Vicky and Casey White could have been watching these TV shows too. And next thing you know, they're leaving the motel before they can even they can even find out where their location is. So they do a lot of great work in the background when it comes to capturing these kind of people. All right, so this is 2 days before.
Right now. We think we know the ones closest to us. What they're thinking. What makes them tick. How far they're willing to go. Until we don't.
Alert went off, and we were just like in Florence, Alabama.
This is not the Vicky White we know.
A corrections officer
Nope.
with a secret.
For sure.
A double life with a dangerous criminal.
He's already killed one.
Now, fugitives on the run.
He is the worst case scenario for a fugitive hunt.
Tonight, a web of lies unraveling. Revealing a hidden relationship, a calculated escape plan.
He would have brought him right down this hallway.
You were in the jail.
Mm-hmm. I never thought that she would, break any kind of rules like that.
And a betrayal so deep, so shocking, it feels like fiction. But it's not. A special edition of News Nation Prime starts right now.
Live from News Nation headquarters, this is News Nation Prime with Marnie Hughes.
Armed, dangerous, unpredictable, and on the run. Police are warning everyone tonight, nationwide, be on the lookout. Good evening to you. I'm Marnie Hughes. This is a special edition of News Nation Prime for you tonight. 1 hour focused on this case and this manhunt, with new information and exclusive interviews that you have never seen before now. Vicky White, a former Alabama corrections officer who isn't who people thought she was, and Casey White, a murder suspect who is much more evil than anyone could have imagined. This is an unlikely pair caught up in a web of lies and deceit. She had everyone fooled. He has nothing to lose. It has been 7 days since she broke him out of jail in Alabama, and they could be anywhere. And within the last few hours, that getaway car we've all been looking for has been found. It's that copper-colored SUV Vicky purchased using an alias. It was discovered nearly 4 hours north of Florence, Alabama. Abandoned and towed, and no sign of these fugitives.
And again, I gotta pause it real quick. Y'all, if you're trying to get away, spray painting your car is not the way, okay?
No.
Ouch.
No.
I'm just saying, it makes you look even more suspicious.
Exactly. I know. I saw that, and I'm like, what the? You know, we were kind of laughing. I'll be honest. When that part of the news came out, we were laughing and saying, "What? How stupid can you be?" We had some choice words for him about that point.
Right, spray paint is not the way.
No.
Get some different hubcaps or something. Get some chrome strips and add it. Different not spray paint. We're not going to end up watching the whole thing, but they do have a lot of interviews with the people that are that are involved in this whole thing that's been going on, the manhunt. So that's why I'm playing this special. If you're just joining in, that's why we're playing this special. After this, we're going to go to the presser when everything had just went down and they were answering all the questions on location. Then I'm going to take you to the footage on location, and then I'm going to show you guys the interviews, and then we're going to show the body cam and stuff as well. So thank you all for hanging out. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. I'm going to drop Silky's link in chat. If you're not subscribed, please do. And thank you for hopping in tonight, and I hope y'all enjoy the show, because this is crazy shit, man. This is crazy shit.
Yeah.
Let's spray paint a car.
My gut is telling me that they're obviously on the run, and
obviously
they're probably right now. I think the fact that they abandoned this car so quick and where they abandoned it,
obviously.
I think it threw them a curve. I don't think they planned for that.
They could be anywhere right now, and until they are caught, no one is safe. I want to bring in senior national correspondent Brian Enton. He is joining us live tonight from Florence, Alabama.
Hey, Wantha, I gotta tease it. Trust me. Hey, there'll be timestamps in the videos if anybody has to leave and come back. But shout out to the members, because the members that were able to make it, thank you so much. Appreciate you. You got a sneak peek.
Brian, now that the getaway car has been found, police are starting back at square one, essentially. The sheriff seems to think that dumping that car was not part of their plan.
Yeah, Marnie, the sheriff believes that car actually broke down. It was found in a rural part of Tennessee, but the sheriff says it was not necessarily hidden, which makes him think that they had some kind of maintenance problem with it. What's interesting is they did appear to try to spray paint the car to change the color of it. But what's so frustrating right now for law enforcement, Marnie, is that car was actually discovered a week ago in Tennessee. Someone spotted it, thought it was odd that it was abandoned. It was towed to a tow yard, but it was not until today that the law enforcement officials in Tennessee contacted the sheriff's office here in Alabama and said, wait a minute, we think this is their car. So it basically gave Vicky and Casey 1 week to run, and no one even knew they weren't.
Look at that, even, And I have to, it's two things. I have to tease it, and we have to, anybody that isn't familiar with this case, because even when people join the show, they're like, what case is this? You have to understand the case before you can really see exactly how explosive all of that stuff is at the end. So that's all.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's in this right here. How much spray paint were you planning on using?
I can't.
You didn't have a case. You didn't have a case. You'd probably be like 4 cans at least. And if you're going black over red, you have to put a few coats on, so you're probably talking 5.
At this point, I really can't. The stupidity in this whole thing after they left is just ridiculous. It's like they planned it out so far. And then, but again, even part of this planning, the color of that car, I mean, come on. And I feel so bad for the family and friends. I really do. And I don't mean to come off like I don't, because I think they were as shocked as her coworkers
Oh, for
were.
real. Yeah. Everybody had to have been. Even her mom, because her mom's like, what are you doing? She's like,
yeah.
She just, everybody trusted her so much because, she had been so loyal for so long to everybody. So
yeah,
who knows what flipped the switch, but it obviously wasn't the light bulb because the light bulb wasn't used on this part. I'm sorry.
No, but I'll tell you what, those, and this is why I don't understand why she didn't understand this, having worked with inmates for so long. They are such con artists. They really, really are. And I mean, I know some people get out of jail or prison and they're reformed, or they go on to live a good life. But most of them, the vast majority of them, are of the criminal mindset. And I mean, how did she not know after all those years how they will use and abuse you and tell you whatever you want to hear, whatever they think is going to work and charm you to get what they want? Like, she had to go through multiple different trainings on this type of stuff through the years, as well as firsthand experience. How do you actually believe what this man is saying? Oh, I love you, Vicky.
The light was out.
Like, yeah, apparently.
The light was out. The light was out. And if, like I said earlier, Crystal, if y'all need that, then watch a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's your T-shirt. Just watch a movie.
If you need that in your life, watch a movie. Watch a movie. It's a lot safer. And then you don't have to. And then you don't have to spray paint a vehicle. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
I can't even.
Brian, you've been on the ground there for about 24 hours, digging, talking to people who knew both Vicky and also Casey. And I mean, this tangled web that they created and have everybody duped for the last couple of years has gotten more and more bizarre. The more hours that pass by and the more time they're out there, the bigger the risk is. So you've been following the breadcrumbs. And as I said to you last night, there are a lot.
There are a lot. This is definitely a community and a region on edge right now. Everyone knew this couple. People especially knew Vicky White because she was from this town. She worked at the jail for almost 2 decades, and people are still trying to mentally process how all of this could have happened.
Almost no one could have suspected that Vicky White, the longtime assistant director of corrections in Lauderdale County, Alabama, had such a secret, dark side.
What is Vicky like? Solid was my word for her. So when this happened, it was such a shock. But she was not a big talker, is not a big talker, but got things done.
Lauderdale County District Attorney Chris Connolly has worked with Vicky for 16 years.
It's like the stages of grief. You say this unbelievable, this didn't happen, and then you get to the point where I am now, which I'm mad that she did this.
Yes.
Inmates inside the jail are also shocked. This woman just bonded out.
Did you ever get a weird vibe from her when you were in jail?
No, not at all. Like she, no, I never did. I never thought that she would, break any kind of rules like that. She's the person you could go to if you were having problems with any kind of COs or anything like that.
Having been in jail, are you surprised that she was able to get him out like that?
No. Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because it's chaos here.
Detectives are piecing together the days before Vicky vanished with inmate Casey White. There have been reports Vicky was seen inside this department store buying men's clothing. Workers inside told me they could not comment. And others report seeing Vicky at this adult store before she took off. A woman working inside told me her lawyer advised her not to talk about whether or not Vicky was a customer. The sheriff confirms Vicky and Casey were having a romantic relationship. Vicky lived in this house 18 miles from the Lauderdale County Jail, but sold the house days before she disappeared with Casey for $90,000, well under market value.
Is that all money that she would have? Like, is it cash? Is it? My understanding is that yes, that she got that money out of the bank, in cash, and I saw where her mother said she was also a frugal person, so she likely had a pretty sporty amount of money on top of that.
Vicky was divorced, but still lived with her ex until he passed away in January from Parkinson's. They had no kids, and the sheriff wonders if she was grief-stricken.
They've been divorced for several years, but I think they were still on speaking terms. And I wondered if that might have had something to do with this or not.
Vicky's mom, Pat, lives right next door to the house Vicky lived in. She did not want to go on camera, but told me this is not the daughter she knew, and that all of this has come as a total shock. But there are some people who knew Vicky who are not as surprised. Right now, we're going to meet up with one man who worked with Vicky at the jail.
Nobody is surprised. Nobody from there that has worked with her in the past is surprised.
Vicky was Tyson Johnson's boss for 7 years at the jail before he says he was wrongfully terminated. He says she is smart and calculated and has a dark side. Where do you think she is right now?
That's a good question. That is a very good question.
I don't remember hearing from this dude. See, this
I don't either.
these are interviews that I probably don't even remember seeing from back then, because I never hear even that guy that was just on there too. So wow, there's gonna be a lot of different interviews in here. This guy has something negative to say though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't.
Oops, sorry.
He's saying nobody that worked with her is surprised. I don't see how that. No, I don't. Unless Lauderdale does it a lot different than my county.
Well, he was wrongfully terminated, I think. So that might be where he, I don't know. Maybe she had something to do with it, because he said that she's calculated and all this other stuff.
Now, I mean, that's the thing a lot of times, CJ. I've noticed that people who are not big talkers, not everybody, but, people that are more to themselves and secretive, a lot of those people do things that you would never imagine. I mean, I mean, I'm all out there. My private Facebook page of my friends, they're like, you know what? You need to tone it down. Don't overshare. But people have always intrigued me, I guess, because I've met a lot of people who are very secretive and private, and I've been very surprised to know some of the things that they've been into. I'm not, I don't know, but, just based on what her coworkers say, that she didn't talk a lot, that is very unusual for a corrections officer, because, you're working with someone 12, 13 hours a day, so many days a week. There's a lot of overtime. You see your CO family more than you do probably your real family. And so we know way too much about each other. Like, we're extremely comfortable around each other.
I was going to say, when they were talking about her work and how she was, so successful, I was like, yeah, that's probably what her life was work and sleep,
Yeah.
Geez, if I need that kind of crazy excitement, I better watch a movie. Because all I do is fucking work and sleep. Shit. Uh-oh.
Me too, but
Right?
I mean,
Damn, CJ. Chris, but it's like what Chris was saying. I don't remember anybody saying anything bad about her either. So that's another reason why I'm shocked about this guy, and I don't remember him having this interview. But who knows? Maybe I never even watched the special because I was watching YouTube True Crimers instead. So
yeah, I didn't see it though either, and I was watching everything.
Yeah, but he says he's got something bad to say. I don't know. Let's see what. And everybody knew it or something.
With Vicky at the jail.
Nobody is surprised.
Nobody
from there that has worked with her in the past is surprised.
Vicky was Tyson Johnson's boss for 7 years at the jail before he says he was wrongfully terminated. He says she is smart and calculated and has a dark side. Where do you think she is right now?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. Honestly, I don't think she'll be found. Like, she is calculated enough that she has thought this entire thing
Spray
out.
paint.
She definitely outsmarted the sheriff. She outsmarted the administrator of the jail.
The U.S. Marshals released these photos
Spray
showing
paint.
Casey White's tattoos and also what Vicky might look like with brown hair.
And also, Vicky used the tanning bed a lot and laid out in the sun. And Vicky may have been 57 years old, but she looked 75. The photos that they're releasing of her, there's a filter, they're all bright on the face because it's not showing the true her.
A
Whoa.
lot of people, former employees that have called me, it's like, if Vicky dyed her hair gray and put on some old lady clothes and glasses, she could walk right by you and you would never know it.
How long will Vicky and
Wow.
Casey avoid capture? Their getaway car now found, but law enforcement admits the fugitives have been one step ahead of them. Could be anywhere.
I think that her knowledge of corrections and her knowledge of the procedures that we use here in the sheriff's office on transport most definitely played to her advantage. I think this was a very well thought out plan.
Do you personally think they're far away?
I do. I do.
That dude mad as fuck.
I can't see her as smart as she is holed up somewhere around here, but who knows? Obviously I didn't know her as well as I thought I did.
Yeah.
And important to point out, if anyone sees Vicky or Casey White, the sheriff is emphasizing to stay away. They believe the couple right now is armed and dangerous. They believe they have an AR-15 and a shotgun. Marnie?
They had a hell of a lot more than that because we saw the picture. All right, let me get to this next interview here. Crazy. Yeah, spray paint. She's so smart. Damn, that dude was mad as fuck too. He's like, yeah, she looks like 75, bro.
Yeah.
That's as dangerous as calling them the sea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Ooh,
just
yeah.
don't do that shit, bro. You just don't do it. All right, here we go.
One could have thought because he could be cornered. Correspondent Kelsey Kernstein is live outside the detention center in Florence, Alabama for us tonight.
Salty, yeah.
Kelsey, this is a very, very dangerous fugitive that they're looking for.
Marnie, he really is. Casey White is a dangerous person, but I have spoken extensively to sheriffs, law enforcement, investigators. They all tell me that he is not a sociopath, saying he is mentally unstable and very dangerous on drugs.
Former Limestone County Sheriff Mike Blakely says he remembers a night he arrested Casey back in 2015 that landed him locked up for 75 years.
They all had their guns pointed at Casey. He standing out in the middle of the road, had two 40 caliber Glock pistols, one stuck to each one of his temple, threatening to kill himself.
In that moment, he says Casey had one request.
Just put the gun down. Oh my God, Sheriff. He told me to call his mama and tell her he loved her. I said, Casey, everything's going to be fine. Nobody's going to die tonight. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I'm going to make y'all kill me.
Blakely calling it a one-night crime spree. In fact, he invaded his ex-girlfriend's home, hijacked vehicles, and led police on a chase. He says Casey even shot his ex-girlfriend's dog to death.
Turns around, and she had a Doberman there in her house that was her pet. And he shot and killed the dog.
So you had no problem with shooting a dog?
Casey is unstable mentally, and he also is very dangerous when he is on drugs.
Blakely even describing him as going to the emergency room because he was hearing voices. Casey later that year in 2015.
He was caught, charged, and convicted of those crimes in Limestone County and was sentenced to 75 years in state penitentiary.
That same year, Connie Ridgway was murdered in Lauderdale County, an hour east of Limestone County. Casey writing a letter confessing.
That investigator went to the prison, interviewed him. He confessed to the murder of Connie Ridgway. This is in 2020. He was charged with that murder on September the 1st, 2020.
I went by Casey's attorney's office in Lauderdale County, who was representing him in the alleged killing of Connie Ridgway, asking him about his client's escape.
Well, it changes the dynamics of the case, but as far as my representation of it changes nothing. Everybody's entitled to a good defense. He is still presumed innocent. He has an opportunity and will have a day to present his case.
I asked Blakely if he thought Casey murdered Connie Ridgway.
He's allegedly stabbed a woman to death. Knowing him, arrested him. Do you think he's capable of that?
I think he's probably capable of anything.
Sheriff Singleton says Casey was brought back to the Lauderdale County Detention Center for his arraignment, saying this wasn't the first time he tried to escape the jail.
He was planning an escape. So we followed up on that. We found a shank on his person. This is the main hall.
Sheriff Singleton also gave me a tour of the detention center.
I hear a lot of noise, like
Oh, yeah.
shackles. Is that what that is?
That's all day long.
Where inmate Casey White and corrections officer Vicky White escaped on April 29th.
Cracks on the glass.
Yeah, no, that's mild right now. If they get upset about something, you hear. Casey was in that first cell on the left. You can see that first window in that picture we released. He would have set him on one of these benches where he would have prepared him for transport. That means putting handcuffs on him, putting leg shackles on him. Those are connected together. She came in, she came back out, held the door open. He came out this door and then right into the Sally Port.
These pictures in from the U.S. Marshal showing detailed pictures of Casey's tattoos. He's about 300 pounds, 6'9" with hazel eyes. Officials now believe Casey is connected to an Alabama-based white supremacist gang.
All right, and I'm gonna pause it there for a second. Is that what it's like for you, Silky? Do you hear that kind of shit? Or are you around that kind of? So the windows is like that's a normal everyday thing, like the warden was saying there.
Oh yeah, they're constantly, somebody's upset about some kind of. Usually it's a bunch of crap, but even things like they need a bar of soap and somebody didn't, one of the COs didn't bring it, or it's not soap day or whatever, and they. Banging. A lot of the inmates they do have a lot of mental health problems. And I mean, banging their head against the glass, the doors, it's constant noise. Constant.
Okay. I didn't know if that was just that facility that he was speaking of, or it's like a general. So that's interesting to know. All right, let's see who she's going to interview now.
Knocked at Casey's mom's house to learn more. No one was home.
Casey's
I went to
mom.
an address listed on his court records as his most recent home. No apartment number even listed.
Do you think this woman that he's with, do you think that she is in danger?
It depends on if Casey's happy, she's probably happy too. But he gets waxed out on meth and something don't go his way, then if she don't know how to handle him, then anybody could be in danger around him.
And according to court documents, Casey is a father. It's not clear how many children he has. It's also not clear if he's ever been married. And the U.S. Marshal has put out a $10,000 reward in helping to find him.
And they already apprehended him. All right. Now, here's another interview. These look like, okay, so that's Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Now, hats off to them because they were already known. The tip was already that they were in Indiana by this time, but they have to play it off to the news so it doesn't look like they know where they're already at next, just to try and keep them in line. So the way that they handled this manhunt was efficient and productive and effective. So shout out to those agents and investigators in LE that were able to perform this capture, because really, like, they really did do it how it's supposed to be done. So shout out to all of them involved.
And Lieutenant Shane Hunter from Giles County, Tennessee.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to agree with you. Yeah, they did. And especially, I mean, he was 6'9". I mean, it's not like he could hide very, very well. But yeah, they did a great job because none of us here, and some of these news reports that you're showing are from, I believe, the Huntsville station, which I have watched. I think we were actually watching the Huntsville station because that's closer to Lauderdale when this happened. And we, of course, we knew they probably had a lot more that they couldn't say, but they did a good job in hiding that, I think.
Yeah. And this is how it's supposed to be done, so and they only made it to Indiana. They didn't make it to Illinois or Minnesota or Wisconsin or Ohio or any of the other states before they even would have got to Canada. So they nabbed them pretty quick, especially with all the breadcrumbs that they left. They did leave them some breadcrumbs, but hey.
Yeah, I don't understand. Didn't they get the hotel in Indiana? Didn't they get that one for a week?
Yeah.
I don't understand. See, that makes no sense to me. Like, if you are on the run, I mean, like, look, go somewhere far away that's very, lots of land. Like, go to Wyoming or the Dakotas, like where there's plenty of space for you to just, kind of hide and keep going. Like, why would you plan to stay in Indiana for a week? That makes no sense to me. You got to keep going.
Because I think what they were doing was they were just trying to get as north as possible, as quick as possible. And I think they were going to be heading up through Chicago and Wisconsin, and then heading up towards like Minnesota, or maybe even they could have went the route of going north and then hitting Ohio, going up through Buffalo. That's another quick way to get up there. They paid a homeless man to secure the room for them for a week, so that's how they were able to but they didn't get to stay low.
Right. And I just don't understand. I mean, I understand why, if you're going up north, but it seems like to me to pay for a week and plan to stay a week, like the longer you're still, the more chance that somebody is going to recognize you, see you, or whatever. Like, isn't that why everybody else, all these other criminals, stay on the move?
Well, honestly, where they stayed at, it was a good spot, but they picked the wrong wing. Because if they would have picked the wing on the other side, they probably wouldn't have. Who knows? I think the chance of them getting caught, and you'll see what I mean when I show you the real footage. I think the chance of them getting caught, if they would have stayed on the other wing, it would have been a lot more difficult. I think it would have taken a longer time to do that. And I'll show you what I mean when we get there. Now, I don't know why they went this way, only thing I can imagine, especially because it's not like a major highway, but it is a highway. So maybe because it wasn't a major highway, but it was a highway, it was a quicker way to get up there. Is who knows? Maybe they had a burner phone already and they were using Google Maps, and whatever the quickest way was going is that's just how. I think what it was is she had planned everything out from the leaving and getting to their first destination, and then I think after that, I think she just figured she was smart enough that they were going to wing it, but they didn't wing it too good, and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, when we get to the footage, it's they didn't wing it very good, and especially like where they stayed. It was a good spot, and I'll show you what I mean. But at the same time, the part that they were at, it's no wonder your ass got caught, honestly. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna skip these agents because actually we don't really need to talk about the agents. Let's see here. Here's another interview they got here. Victim's son. So this is the son of one of the victims, and this is kind of leading you guys up, kind of explaining like what Casey is, who he was, what he got convicted from before, what he was involved with, kind of how everything took place on both sides, whether it was Vicky or Casey.
The fact that a dangerous fugitive could be anywhere right now is alarming for all of us, but it is especially haunting for one family in particular. Casey White has been charged with killing a woman named Connie Ridgway on October 23rd, 2015.
And this is on top of everything that happened that we just saw with his ex-girlfriend / wife and the dog. This is something else too.
Police found the mother stabbed to death in her living room. Investigators called it a murder for hire, and Casey would later confess to the crime 5 years later. He now faces the death penalty. Austin Williams is Connie Ridgway's son, and he is joining us live tonight. Austin, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. And first of all, I'm very, very sorry about your mom and that you have to go through this with Casey on the run.
Thank you.
Especially the ex-girlfriend too, because he said he was going to come, if he ever got out, he was going to come back and finish them off too. So can you imagine? They were probably thinking, shoot, we're his next destination.
Yeah, exactly.
Not good.
Do you believe that Casey will come after you? Are you afraid?
I don't believe I'm a target, but I'm afraid that he's a very dangerous person.
What went through your mind when you got the news that he had escaped?
I don't even really know what was going through her mind. It was just so shocking. It took me a while just to comprehend it. But it's just so shocking.
Tell me what you know. Tell me what you know about Casey.
I know he has a very, very violent history. I know he's been in jail several times. He's been very violent. I know he's attacked his brother and his ex-girlfriend, and just a very, very violent history.
Austin, what were the circumstances around your mom's death? Was it random? What more can you share?
Well, it is the only thing I can think of. It could possibly be random. It's just she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because she's such a gentle, sweet, Southern Christian lady. There's just
nope.
Who in the world could have anything against her?
And she was killed in her home.
Everybody was in disbelief.
Yes, that's correct.
How long after your mom was murdered did they find Casey and tie him to her death?
It wasn't until he confessed. We really had no idea for about 5 years.
Did you know, Austin, about his plans to escape, that he wanted so desperately out and that it required extra security because he had threatened to escape?
No, I didn't know that. I would imagine that he would have extra security because he tried to escape, the first time he was in Lauderdale County for his arraignment.
Are you in touch with authorities as they search for him? Have they been in communication with you?
Yeah, they're very good at communicating. I'm aware of a kind of high level what's going on.
Well, we obviously know what he is capable of, so I won't even ask you that. But for you, all these years later, what does justice look like for your family?
Well, justice looks like him having the chance to go to trial and have everything decided in the court of law, whether or not he's innocent or guilty. I believe he is.
Come on.
Very likely guilty, but I would not want an innocent person to be punished for something they didn't do. So I really do want to go to trial and to go to court.
And we don't want an innocent person, another one, to die as he is still out there. Austin Williams, again, thank you for talking to us. And my thoughts are with you and your family as you go through.
And so that was the victim's son. And so I believe that's still going on here. Now, let me see. Let's skip ahead. Right here. Finding love behind bars.
One former corrections officer says she knows because it happened to her. Correspondent Kelly Beeson has her story tonight.
It just made me sick to my stomach because I know exactly where she is and how she's feeling.
The search for Vicky White and Casey White has captivated the nation. And while many have been left baffled by the motivations in this case,
people were saying, we don't really know what happened. And I thought, I know exactly what happened.
That's because Toby Dorr, previously known as Toby Young, did the same thing in 2006. At the time, she was married and running a volunteer dog training program at a state prison in Kansas when she met John Maynard, who was serving a life sentence for a deadly carjacking.
You're at a point in your life where you just feel invisible and you feel broken and you feel so alone and lonely, and somebody notices. Common sense just goes right out the door.
She says she got Maynard out of prison in a dog crate, and they went on the run hoping to create a life together. While Toby says she's confident the two were in love, things began to change outside of prison walls.
For instance, he had a pretty quick temper and he'd get mad about stuff. It made me start to think, well, this might not have been the best decision.
The pair lived in a cabin in Tennessee for most of their 12 days on the run until one day being spotted by law enforcement.
Maybe not.
A high-speed chase followed, topping 100 miles per hour, ending when the couple smashed into a tree.
I wasn't ready for it to be over yet. My initial thoughts the first few days after I was arrested is, how am I in jail? How did I get to this point in my life?
After serving 27 months behind bars for aiding the escape, Toby remarried, rehabilitated her life, and says she now fears for Vicky White's well-being.
It sounds like she's been an outstanding employee, an outstanding member of her community. You need to look at everything as a collective and not just judge someone by their worst mistake.
And if that's the case, when you see people that you trust, right? And then you have the people that are held in their position to hold people like this accountable, the major question should have been, if you trust her so much, why in the hell did you allow this right here to even take place? Because that is
Right.
not protocol.
No, at no time would a female officer be taking a male, especially, okay, let's be honest, she is a smaller person, a shorter person. He is a very large person, and he's male. It wouldn't matter, really, even about the size, to be for one. But there is no reason that a female officer should be escorting an inmate anywhere by herself. And
No.
they don't even, like, we have deputy transports for, but there would be two for especially somebody like Casey. But on top of that, it would be two males, most likely. Definitely not a female by herself. So that was the biggest, what the heck that we had in our county when we saw this news, is like, why did they let her out the jail with Casey? What?
Yeah, and then you even saw it. She's like, watch how she walks out the freaking door. She just holding it. Like, is that even protocol? Look at that. You're walking in front of a prisoner too. That's not protocol.
Yeah, what if he kicks you in the head?
I mean, she walks up to the door, unlocks it. It's locked. Now she walks through, and look, she got two fingers on the door because she's trying to get the fuck out of there. That right there. Why is that? Nobody's watching this. Nobody's making sure that the prisoner doesn't overtake Vicky in the freaking carport.
Yeah, I know. This whole thing was crazy.
How hard would it have been to come up behind her and then?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not even. So it's like this guy right here. How in the hell did you let this happen?
I don't know. That was very disappointing to us. We're like, God, how does this even happen? But apparently, I mean, I guess she had taken people before, or taken him before. I mean, but why are you letting that happen? I don't care what your rank is. I mean, there's still protocol and safety. Right.
How much you trust. That should have been a situation where it was like, Vicky, are you crazy? No, you're going to put yourself in danger. We're not even going to do that. No. Because somebody wasn't
that's the thing. Right. And I mean, even, okay, you get to know certain inmates, actually a lot of them, because they leave, they get out of jail, they're back a week, a month, 2 months later. Like, you already know. I walk through the booking and I'm like, what are you doing back here? You just left. Why are you back in jail? But you see them over and over and over, and then a lot of them become trustees. You get to know them a little bit more. But the one thing that you always, I don't care if they're trustees and you've known them forever and they've always been great people, you have to remember and never forget that these are inmates. And as inmates, they have a history of committing crimes. And at any time, they can commit another one. And you can't trust. There is no such thing as trusting an inmate. And she certainly had enough experience to know that. I mean, as did the rest of these people.
Everybody. This guy too. And it was your operation. If you don't have if you don't have somebody watching this, they didn't even. It was like an hour or two had went by before they even went to look at the tape.
Yeah. Like, hey, where's Vicky and Casey? I don't know. Must be long at court. Yeah. Hello.
I got 3 out of 6 pistons working, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you need a new mechanic then, because
Yeah.
that was the problem when you don't have all your balls rolling in the same direction, like this guy right here. So this is when the apprehension took place. Now you can see in the background, there's the live shot of all the vehicles. Now that wasn't all of them; that was most of them, just a few of them. But there was like literally that whole parking lot was full. The road there was full. The road on the other side is full. And you'll see what I mean when we show you the real footage. But here, this is the press conferences, short ones from each one, where they're discussing everything that had just taken place.
Her well-being, but she has some answers to give us, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to get those answers.
Trust or not, that shit shouldn't have happened. Trust or not.
Mhm.
And this guy's so mad. Well, she owes me. Dude, you owe the community answers, because how in the hell are you letting the people that you supervise and manage
Exactly.
why are you letting them do this shit in the first place? You don't have Metro bus line letting people that look at their phones while they're driving a bus full of people. You don't let them get away with that, do you?
Mhm.
No. It's the same situation.
Exactly.
Same situation.
Not that I'm aware of. I think it was just a pursuit. They wrecked and they were taken into custody. I understand he surrendered.
I think they were both very lonely, Michelle.
I haven't got that information. I'm not sure.
How was she injured?
Don't know. I don't know if it's a result of wreck or if it's some other kind of injuries. I know.
Any indication, Sheriff, that one of them shot themselves during this chase?
Can't confirm that. I know that no law enforcement officers fired any shots for sure.
Sheriff, the eyes of the country, people across the world, in fact, have been watching and following this manhunt. From here in Lauderdale County and now through 3 different states. How have you managed to keep going every day and keep that energy that we've seen here throughout this search?
I just wanted to get them off the street. I was committed to that. I was committed to every resource we had available to us to use those resources to make this event happen, to make this press conference.
Oh, and see those unmarked vehicles? Those were all over the place.
I've always expected this outcome. I knew we would catch them. It was just a matter of time. What was so challenging about this escape was, most escapes from a county jail especially, they're not planned. They're just sort of spontaneous.
Right.
There are no resources available, no plan in place about what am I going to do when I get out here other than just run. This escape was obviously well planned and calculated. A lot of preparation went into this. They had plenty of resources, had cash, had vehicles.
Use spray paint, stayed at a hotel where your car's visible to the fucking highway.
Yeah.
Stood outside of a car wash for 5 fucking minutes while you were waiting for your getaway girlfriend to come get you. Yeah, that was real planned out, buddy. Yeah, that was real.
And everything they needed to pull this off.
What
And
does
that's what
this
made
guy
this last week and a half so challenging. We were starting from ground zero, and not only that, we were started. They got a 6-hour head start on it.
I'll be right back. I need a
It's been
K-cup,
very-
everybody.
This just speaks
I need a
volumes
K-cup.
to the effectiveness and the efficiency.
It's their feed doing it, by the
This
way.
is
It's
what
not
they
us.
do. They track down fugitives,
Okay.
and today is obvious that they do it well.
Is there any reason to believe they had help in their escape?
No evidence that I know of that there was anyone else involved other than Casey White and Vicky White. That I don't know about. That's not my deal.
They did not give him the money.
I have no idea. They're obviously in Indiana, and I'm here, so I don't really know what's going on as we speak. But
Are you all sending folks to Indiana? Do you have people up there?
the U.S. Marshals are up there. We will probably wait until they get back here. I don't see any need in us sending someone up there because they'll be brought back here. And now if they don't waive extradition and are up there for a while, we may end up sending a team up. Well, the lesson that I think I've learned, and I think everybody's learned, you don't know who you can trust. You know, I had every bit of trust in Vicky White. She has been an exemplary employee. And what in the world provoked her or prompted her to pull a stunt like this, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. But, you know, I mean, you as a leader, you've got to have people in place in these key positions like she was in, that you have confidence in, that you have trust in. And when they violate that trust, I don't know how you can predict that. You know, we had the policies. You know, a policy is a piece of paper. It can't prevent anything. A policy is there for me as a leader to take disciplinary action when a policy is violated. I can't predict when someone's going to violate a policy. But you know, it just one more time, you know, I've learned that you just don't know people sometimes. You think you do, and you really don't know who they are. Not just my tenure as sheriff. September of this year will mark the 50th anniversary of me beginning my career. I've never experienced a week like this in my career. Yes. I have not. That deputy has had her own.
All right, we're going to transition to WFIE. This is Evansville, Indiana, as they're talking to a local sheriff there after the inmate and former deputy were apprehended.
That appeared to be related to the Alabama escapee and sheriff's office employee that had fled the area. As we were working on this today, we gained information that a vehicle matching the description of a suspect vehicle was near our sheriff's office. So the U.S. Marshals Task Force and deputy sheriffs went to the area. Soon thereafter, the male and female fled in a vehicle on Highway 41 northbound, went past Highway 57. As you can see, they turned here on Birch Park Drive. They came through this grassy area. The Marshals Task Force officers intercepted them, actually collided with them to try to end the pursuit. When this occurred, the female driver of the vehicle shot herself, and the passenger was injured, not too seriously. They've both been taken to local hospitals to be examined for their injuries. Her injuries are very serious. I don't know the true extent, but I want to commend the Marshals Task Force for being here and working diligently with the Vanderbilt County Sheriff's Office to put two bad people and get them off the street.
Are these the Whites from Alabama?
Yes, they are. It is.
Yeah. She's still alive?
She's still alive.
His condition?
What's that?
His condition?
He seems to be okay. She's in pretty serious shape.
Do you know where she was shot?
I don't know where she was shot, but it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Do you know where the pursuit first took place and where?
It was Highway 41 south of St. George Road is where the pursuit initiated.
Any indication on how long they've been in Evansville?
We can't clarify that at this time until we speak to him. We know the vehicle that was recovered had a date of May the 3rd. It's hard to believe that they've been here that many days, but we were lucky that we stumbled upon them today.
Yeah, the car wash surveillance photos were from the 3rd. It's only speculation, of course, at this point, but why would people on the run stay in Evansville for 6 days?
Well, they're criminals. Sometimes they do things that are unexplainable. But in this case, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
How did law enforcement catch eyes on them? Was somebody calling in, or did law enforcement just catch them?
A member of the Evansville Police Department observed the vehicle and thought that it could have matched the description of the vehicle that we've been looking for, and that's what we went to.
So the vehicle that's found at the car wash, was that impounded? The blue Ford?
Yes.
Okay. So they changed vehicles?
Now, you guys got remember the media.
They changed vehicles to a Cadillac?
Okay, so anybody here?
Was it a Cadillac that was eventually stopped in the crash?
No, as you can see, it was this vehicle it looked like a truck, wasn't it? Was it a truck?
Oh, it's a Cadillac.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It is a Cadillac. That was stopped. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah.
Would you like to come up and speak?
Yeah. It was.
We'll just let the sheriff handle
Okay.
it for now. I know he's planning on doing a press.
Can you talk about the cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies to get this done?
Yeah, well, probably one of the best federal agencies that we work with is U.S. Marshals Task Force. They do a very good job. They supply a lot of resources and personnel to us. And when we have serious crime that needs to be addressed, we can usually handle it through the Marshal's Task Force in our office. And the state police is involved in that, and Evansville Police as well. So it's a very good multi-member law enforcement agency.
From when they responded initially to whenever the crash happened, how long was that?
Very short period of time. From the time we initiate the pursuit until the time it ended was less than a few minutes.
Do you think there were other accomplices that may have
Well, I'm sorry. So.
that are with this? And obviously this has been national news. Has there been other ways that you guys have prepared for this? Were you guys expecting? I'm sure you guys weren't.
Well, anytime you have people that are on the run, you're notified, and you're keeping a watchful eye on any suspicious activity, suspicious vehicles. In this particular case, one of the suspects being 6'9", that's good for us because he wasn't a normal sized human being. So it was an easy target for us.
Whenever criminals are on the run, even we in the media, even the regular Joe citizen wonders, I wonder if they come our way. When did you first get the indication that they might be coming our way?
Well, after the vehicle was located a while back, we at least knew they may have been in our area, but I couldn't believe that they had remained here.
Did they resist at any point when they were when the car did?
Oh no! Once the accident occurred, that they no resisting.
How long from the time that vehicle was found at the car wash until it was determined that was probably their vehicle? How long?
I don't know the time frame that they developed the lead that was probably related.
Sheriff Wedding.
Were found in the car?
What's that?
How many weapons?
Just one so far, but we haven't really looked through the vehicle yet. We're going to get a search warrant for the vehicle, and we'll examine it later on this evening.
Sheriff Wedding, there were previous reports. I'm with 44
Oh,
on the other end of the camera. Sorry. There were previous reports from Casey White saying, he was ready to go all out. He was even, asking for law enforcement to shoot him. Are you surprised that it was Vicky White who pulled the trigger?
Well, once again, with criminals and criminal minds, they're very unpredictable. We don't take anything they say with any merit. That they can change on a dime, and this was a perfect example of that. It was the female who was driving. Yes. The main thing is we're lucky that no law enforcement was injured, no innocent civilians were injured. The pursuit was short in nature, and we have both people in custody.
Sheriff White, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, going to bring in Brady Williams, and you heard it right here.
All right, let's pop on here real quick. We're actually going to go back to Lauderdale County, Alabama. It looks like they're going to talk to their sheriff. We just heard him at a press conference. Again, Vicky and Casey White have been apprehended. Those were the two individuals, one a former deputy, one an escaped inmate, had been on the run for 11 days. They've been apprehended. Real quick, while I have you here, we don't have the sheriff talking quite yet. I'm going to bring him up in just a second. I'm going to monitor him, but I want to show you real quickly what we learned in those past two press conferences. Lauderdale County, Alabama officials confirmed both Casey and Vicky White have been apprehended. A Sunday night tip led to their arrest within the past hour. Vicky White is the only one of the two that's been injured, and they're considered serious according to police. They did not clarify if they're life-threatening. And the Lauderdale County Sheriff, who we're going to hear from again in a second, said, quote, "You think you know people, but you really don't know who they are," when in reference to Vicky White and the fact that she helped the inmate Casey.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. They were talking to the sheriff. I don't know what they were talking about. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of live more footage, and then I'm going to show you the actual route and what it looked like in their vehicle and when they started getting pursued. And then I'm going to show you all the footage of how they kind of went around. And then also, I'm going to show you the interviews first. Just
Seems
wait.
like that, Mike, you were saying self-inflicted gunshot wound. Am I right in saying that for Vicky?
So they didn't know the details at the moment. This is them clearing out all the vehicles from the ditch that I'm going to take you guys to. And let me see here. They don't end up talking to anybody else, but they just show basically as they're talking about the apprehension. Here is zoomed in or zoom back of the location. All right, so now I'm going to show you a little bit of footage, and then we're going to get to the interviews here. So this is going to be the route of, let's see here. This is going to be the route of what they would have took. And I'm not going to show you the whole route because it's about 20 minutes from the car wash, but we're going to start from the car wash, and then I'm going to show you different key points of the different locations up until where the capture took place. All right, so give me a second here. All right, so let me skip ahead. Okay, so right up here, we'll be getting to the car wash.
Now, where's this? Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah, this is, so I'm going to show you. So where you saw him ditching the truck, I'm going to show you the car bay where they ditched the truck. Then I'm going to show you where the Cadillac was parked, where he got into the Cadillac, and then the route that they took to get to the motel. Then from the motel to where they started getting pursued to where the capture ended up taking place. Give me 1 second here. Whoops. All right, so we should be coming up here in a second. And let me go full screen on this. Okay. So here's the car wash right here. So the bay, he had his truck in that bay right there all the way to the left. So when you see him walking around and he's looking away from the front of the truck, he's actually looking out on the road waiting for Vicky. Walking around. So what they did is they ditched the truck and then he got into the Cadillac. I'll show you where the Cadillac was parked. When they ditched the truck, they just left it there. So
That's
then,
crazy.
yeah, so the person that was running the car wash went to the truck, saw that the keys were still in there, said that it turned on and it was still working. So he didn't know what to do. He called the local PD. They showed up, ran the plates. Everything seemed fine. And then they had located, I think, a clip of a pistol inside the truck. And then that's when they reviewed the footage. And that's when he had already reviewed the footage. And that's when he said, that looks like the guy that they've been talking about for this manhunt. And then he reached back out to him because they had just came to check the truck, didn't know that the guy had been walking around there at that point. Then he called him back. And then that's when he got the tip to them that that's who he thought it was. And then they started looking into it and found out, yes, because like I said, they did have another camera that was facing the road that also caught her driving up and down the road we just came from. And so right here is right here is where she would have been parked waiting for him. So as he was waiting for her to pull up, then he walks towards the front of the vehicle, and you'll see it later on in the show when I show you the footage from the car wash. You'll see him then walk towards the front of the truck and walk in this direction, and that's when he got in her car. And this is them in the Cadillac now. So now they're in the Cadillac, and they're driving to the hotel. Now, it's, you're hitting right here just a couple minutes away. Now you're hitting 41. Okay. So right off of that car wash, and this is right as you get into town too. So they really just hung a right and went to this car wash, ditched the car, and then got the Cadillac, or ditched the truck, I'm sorry, then got the Cadillac. She was driving at this point, got into the vehicle, because she's the one that got the car. He was the one that stayed behind with the truck. So she's driving the car right now. Now that's how close it is to get onto 41. Now, as we're going on 41, I'm going to skip ahead. And if you all remember, I will be uploading these separately so you can have these separate. I'm just doing this for the show. So now as we're going to 41, it's probably about a 12-minute drive to 15-minute drive from the car wash. So it's not very far. Now they're just going up here a little north. Now this is right up here is the motel. So this is what I'm saying. when it comes to what I'm going to show you when they chose what side to park on. You see on the left side of this highway, there's nothing but a bunch of trees and a bunch of nothing. On the right side, it's a lot of different businesses. If you're driving on this road and looking off to the right, it would be difficult for you to spot the vehicle if you weren't, because it is quite a distance on the left wing. Now, if somebody's just going to kind of check the whole city and just kind of do some quick run throughs, they might not go into the left side, which I'm going to show you, but they're definitely going to go through this side. So watch. This is the motel that they stayed at, and this is how cheap it was. And this is what I was telling everybody. They used like a vinyl sign that they pulled over the previous motel sign and then tied it with some strings at the bottom. There you go. All right. See how
that just screams upscale.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Upscale. It's important. It's important. You can even see the strings to tie it at the bottom.
Oh, wow.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I mean. Now, look, if you're driving through here, right? Look at all the stuff off to the top left. The road starts to separate from the hotel. Now, everything that you see on the right side here is on the left side too. So this is what I mean. If you would have stayed on the left side of the wing, you really have to pull through the entrance and then drive around somewhere in that parking lot that there's no exit from, and you got to come. If you're just doing a random check, you might just end up going this route. And look, see where that car's parked? A spot over is where they would have parked, because guess what room they stayed in, people? And this is crazy. The agents had a perfect viewpoint to watch them for a few days, because look,
wow,
the room right here that doesn't have a sign number on it, it's 150. That room that doesn't have a number sign on it, that's the room that they stayed in. So literally, watch, this is where the stakeout was taking place. So they stayed right here, okay? And as I turn, this is where the stakeout took place. See that building straight ahead of us off to the right?
Yeah.
They parked their vehicles. You see the vehicles coming up to the left. That's right around the area that they parked their vehicles in to stake out the room that you could literally turn right back around 180 degrees and see. You could see when they shut the lights off.
Wow.
You wouldn't even need binoculars. So now picture them leaving. Okay, now this is the part where they get captured. Okay, I'm gonna give you kind of a play-by-play, but I have to use different footage other than this footage to also show you the play-by-play, because I'm only one person. All right, so imagine Casey and Vicky pulling out a motel. All right, baby, we made it a whole week. We made it a whole week. Let's go. We're going to head to Chicago. We're going to head to Ohio. We're going to head somewhere. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Oh, man, we got some rest. We had some fun. It's been a week. Now we can take off, right? So now they're thinking that they're getting home free. Okay, but imagine these investigators, and let me pause this real quick. Even though they had a stakeout, it doesn't take long for them to put their bags in the car, get in the car, and leave, right? So at the same time, right now, this is when everybody's saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. There's people that got to get in their vehicles and all sorts of stuff, but they do have somebody on their tail, because they did have somebody watching them. So somebody's on the tail. They're waiting for some of their backup. As they're driving down this road, they're thinking, hey, I think we're going to make it. And then all of a sudden they're looking in the rear view mirror and they're like,
yeah,
I don't know if that's an unmarked or what. I think we got police on our tail, babe. I think we got police on our tail. So as they're approaching this intersection right here, now I imagine the light was green because of where everything took place. So even though there's a red light here, imagine this is green. All right. So right about here is when them lights start flashing. Woo, 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 woo. Okay. Now they know their gig is up. because they got LE right behind them flashing their lights. So now they start to pick their speed up. They're going, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Look, this is how long they were being chased. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they're still going. They're still going. They're not pulling over. So, of course, LE's going to give him some time because it's like, yo, hey, come on, let's pull over. Let's pull over. Plus, you have to also understand this was rush hour, okay? This is when a lot of shifts were changing. And this is what you're going to hear in the interview when we're coming up. The shift change was literally minutes before they drove through this business and then the crash took place. That's why you're going to hear the interviews that you're going to hear, because there was already people outside, and you're going to talk to one person that was the first person outside in that parking lot. That's why he was at where he was at. And to go figure, it was his first day.
You have to be thinking at this point, CJ, they're saying, baby, I ain't going back to jail. Or I'm not going to jail. I've been an officer. What was the conversation at this point when they realized Ellie's behind them? Are they saying, whatever you do, don't let me go back to jail, or what?
I have no clue. No idea. All right. So now we're getting close, okay? So now they're being chased. They're like, shit, what are we going to do? Now I guarantee you the reason that they did what they did is because there was a stoplight that was red up ahead. And like I said again, it was rush hour traffic. So instead of them having to stop and then be surrounded by cars, this is why I feel they did what they did. And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you where I think the 911 call started, and the reason that the 911 call took place is because it had an OnStar feature that automatically called 911 when there was an accident. But I'm going to tell you why it was activated. So what they did is they saw this red light. It was red. There's a bunch of cars from traffic, so they hooked a right real quick. They pulled into the right, and I'll show you with some different footage the view of that. They pulled into the right, and then they're driving along the as they're still parallel with us, and then they're driving in the parking lot, okay? And we're going to finish with this footage here in a second. So let me see here. Let me skip ahead just a skosh. Okay, so see on the right side, they're driving through. And I got better footage for you for this too. They're driving through. That white structure was not there during the time. This fenced-in area was filled with a whole bunch of beams and all sorts of stuff at the time. So they're driving through this business's parking lot where usually semis are coming, and they're barreling through. There's a fence that's closed. They bust through the fence, which is, I feel, where the 911 call started, is where they bust through the fence on the other side because it's fenced in. So when that parking lot ends, you have to bust through the fence, then you bust through the fence again. Then off to the right is the grass path that they were driving down. They just busted through the fence and just drove straight down. Now, the reason I feel excuse me, that they were going at such a high rate of speed is because, and I'll show you with other footage, you don't see a ditch there until just a few feet before the ditch. And right before they hit that ditch, that's where you hear on the 911 call where they get pitted. And then as they get pitted, then I'm going to show you where the accident took place and how you can still see the footage from where the accident took place based on the photos and the footage. So that's where the crime took place. Now let me get you another vantage point.
Wow. Yeah, that makes complete sense, CJ, that that's why the 911 was activated. And yeah, I'm sure they were going at a high rate of speed. I mean, they're trying to get out of there. This is their last ditch effort, or else they're going to jail.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Okay, I think it's this one first, and then it starts over because I'm still getting used to all the devices here. So I'm going to show you the side view now, okay? And I apologize. It's me just holding my damn hand all the way out the window because, again, I'm only one person. But I needed to get you guys this view too, okay? So here's the side view, right? And then that's where the crash took place, down that ditch straight ahead. So now you're going to see the path that the car took, okay, from a different angle. So as they're driving up next to here, this is the road that they pulled in that I just showed you on the other footage. Okay, so now they hooked a left and they're driving in this parking lot right where I'm showing you. They're driving in this parking lot and they're driving all the way around. And again, the reason I feel they did this is because it's rush hour and that light, there's a lot of traffic right there. So they're not gonna stop. They're gonna have to go somewhere, and that's probably the only place that they could have went. So see this parking lot? They came in, turned right off the road, then turned left, and then they drove around here. Okay, now right here is where there's a fence. Not here, right here. There's a fence. See how it's closed? Busted through the fence. 911 call. Whoops. Hold on. Now I got to get the other footage here. That's where I messed up. All right. So here's this one. Now this is the business right there. It's driving through. See how it's got all those supplies and stuff. That white building wasn't there. There's just a bunch of these supplies. They were driving through the middle of this, barreling speeds with all of these undercovers chasing them. I think they said they had like 9 or 10 vehicles at that point chasing them through this business's parking lot through all of this stuff. Then there's another fence coming up. See how there's all semis and stuff there? There's not this fence, which they should have went. There's a fence right here. In between, see, there's a path right there. See, there's a fence on the right. They busted through that fence, and then we're driving to, what we're looking at is to our left, but they're still going straight at a high rate of speed. Okay, they're still going along this parking lot. See where the parking lot stops right here, and you got the curbs. They slammed into the curb, kept driving. That structure wasn't there either. They kept driving down this grass path, got pitted, and right before they crashed into the ditch is right when they got pitted. So they got pitted, flipped up upside down, slammed into the one side of the ditch, slammed into the other side of the ditch, and then came at a rest where you see the pictures you see them. Now, let me see here. I'm going to show you some pictures of the spot that shows you what it looks like today. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to cycle through a whole bunch here. Okay, so here's one. So on this side, you can see this disruption right here. That's where the other side of the vehicle slammed. So you can see right here, we're going to show you the other side here in a second, but see here, and then you see the disturbance here. That's where the other side of the vehicle slammed. So there's the right side. Right up here is where the disturbance was, where it slammed on that side. Here's the other side, the disturbance when it slammed into that side. So right here, this is the spot where everything went down that day. And unfortunately, where other things. Okay, so another shot. This is the ditch while I'm standing in the ditch. And see how it's kind of level. It's all the same color. You know there's a road there. So I'm going to show you an angle when you're actually on the grass. You don't even see the ditch until the last moment. Here's a picture. If you're in the car, this is right where the parking lot starts. If you're in the car, do you see a ditch? Nope. You just know that there's a road. Because you see a stop sign and a street sign. So you just know that there's a road and you can turn around and go back the way that you came, which is probably what they're thinking. Now let me go to, there's another picture of the disturbance right there on the side. I mean, still to this day, look at that. It's caved in pretty good.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, let me see here. All right, now let me show you another video here. So I'm going to show you a drone video real quick. Now, like I said, it was windy as hell today and was not able to get a good, but I got a good kind of zoom view on it. So let me play this real quick and then we'll get to those interviews. Okay, so right back here, see that curb right there at the bottom? Now that's going to be very key when you hear this interview. One of them from the gentleman that was on this side, right where that grate was at, shortly to the right is where the car hit the curb, and that's where you hear the big boom on the 911 call, and you hear Vicky, and then shortly after that, that's when you hit the pavement. So when you hear the boom on the 911 call, that's what the person that I interviewed over here is talking about. So I'll give you a little bit of a bird's eye. It is windy as shit. I couldn't even keep it level. So like right there, it's still hard to even see that there's a ditch except for a little spot.
It really is.
Let me see here. So we'll go right there. There's another picture of it. We had 18-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so it usually you only want to fly with 4 or 5. So it was yeah.
No, but it looks, I mean, it looks good. You can't help the wind.
No, it's not an ideal day, so I'm going to kind of adjust a little bit. Kind of get, let's see here. So there's from up above, and you can still see where the car, the indentations on the dirt there.
Yeah.
From the car, and this is the grass path that they drove through, just straight through. Just straight through. And that was the shot I wanted to get, is the kind of the way back right to the curb, and that's where they went through the grass. So when you hear the interviews and then you hear the 911 call, then you're going to be like, okay, that makes sense. So let me show you a different view here. And let's pull up this one. Okay. So this is when I'm walking around the ditch. See how tall the ditch is compared to where I'm at?
Yeah.
It's pretty high.
It is.
All right, let me go to, let's see, we'll go to this one. So that's from where the fence was at. As we pan over to the right, that is right as the car hit the curb and then go straight ahead. Now, what I'm going to do with this footage is I'm walking you. So basically, because I can't drive on the grass, I'm going to show you guys what it looked like as they were driving on the grass to where they crashed. And let me see here. So this is what it, oh, hold on one second. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Okay, so that's the fence. We're going to pan over. And then I'm going to walk you the whole way as they were driving. So this is what it would look like if they were driving on the grass without the structure to the right. And just pay attention to look straight ahead. Let me know
Yeah.
when you can tell there's a ditch there.
Yeah, I can see where they wouldn't even notice until it was too late. I mean, maybe if they were in a taller vehicle, but not with what they were in, you wouldn't see it.
Mm-hmm. It's still hard.
Yeah, because it's so deep, like it just drops so quick. It's not, graded.
Right. And it's literally at the bottom, you're only talking like maybe a foot width at the bottom. It's not much, if even a foot. So it's real steep. It's steep and sharp. See, it's still hard to see until you're literally just a few feet away, and then you can see the ditch pop up, and then that's
Yeah.
exactly where the crash took place right there.
Yeah. Wow. Because at that point, I mean, it was too late to have a reaction. It was too late to stop. I'm sure they were going really fast.
Yeah. They were flying through there. And so that's how deep it is. It's a huge ditch. It's a lot of runoff. And it's hard to tell that it was even there. I would have been surprised they wouldn't have ran into they probably would have hit one of them trees or something if they would have, skipped right over that road, because there's no way they probably would have slammed into the trees, is what it looks like to me. So now I'm going to play the 911 call one more time, and then you're going to hear the interviews, and then I'm going to play the 911 call again after that, so you guys can really hear the intensity of everything. And also, after we're done showing the interviews, then I'm going to show you the body cams for the case.
I meant to say this back at the hotel. I was reading where that particular room has a waiting list. 150 has a waiting list.
Yeah.
And they rent it out for more than any of the other rooms. I mean, that's kind of macabre, but
Yeah. As soon as it took place, and I don't know why the sign's off there now. Maybe they quit renting it out. But you're absolutely right. As soon as it took place, they started doubling, and then they tripled the room cost just for that room only, not the rest of them. And then after that, it had gotten booked for. I mean, you needed like 6 months to a year just to be able to get it.
To stay in the love shack.
Yeah. Yep. So
wow.
Here's the 911 call, and then just wait till you hear these interviews. Oh boy, here we go. Thank you all for hanging out the whole time. Appreciate it.
911. Hello? John. Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Let's back to the hotel.
That's where they got pitted.
Hello?
Now a short time.
So I'm going to play it again. Remember the first fence, the second fence, the curb, bam, bam, bam. Well, activation, bam, bam. Then the pit, then the crash. So they went through the first fence.
911.
Now they're barreling through the parking lot.
Hello? John.
Next fence.
Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Let's back to the hotel.
Bam, curb. Now they're getting pitted. Now they're sliding into bam. car crash.
Now, a short time after the car crash, responding law enforcement.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mute the music here real quick. I'm going to share. Is it going to mute or what? There we go. StreamYard's bugging out. All right, so this is the first interview. This gentleman, his nickname, or he likes to go by J-Way, J-W-A-Y. If you want to follow him on TikTok, search for Face Brand. Just type in Face Brand, and that's his TikTok. So this is J-Way in his interview. Now, before we get started to it, I'm gonna he said this was his first day. He said that he was the first one out in the parking lot. He was right by the door because where he was located was right next to the door, so that's why he was able to be out in the parking lot first. Now, as he's talking, he's going to explain it, but he's already walking, and we're going to show you that as he kind of walks us through the interview. At first, he's going to tell us a little bit about it. Then he's going to kind of show us exactly where he was when everything went down. Again, this is J-Way. Thank you. Appreciate your comfort, and thank you for your help in doing this. Walking out of this door right here.
Yep.
When you were leaving work.
Yes, sir. I came out of that door, and I noticed to my right on the highway of 41, there was a Cadillac and a bunch of cop cars behind it, but I didn't think nothing of it. I honestly thought it was a funeral or something.
A funeral.
But by the time I got over to the curb right here, they had come through this fence with the frame shop, and there was cops coming this way, there was cops on that road, and there were cops behind it, unmarked mostly. And I continued walking and let them kind of, and by the time I got past this tent, they had flipped their car in the ditch over here. And that's when the woman, I guess, or whoever was inside the car shot themselves. And then the police had opened some fires as well after. And then they pulled the dude out, and that was it for me.
So where were you walking this way? Like, talk to me, like, as you're walking towards where you were walking that day. Let me, like, what did you see as you're walking?
At this point, they had already passed through, so I wasn't really thinking much of it. But I got to about over here. I'll show you.
Okay.
At this point, they had already come through the front of Anchor, I guess, and were doing whatever they were. However they managed to get to this point, I have no idea. I just know that I got right here, and that's when they came through that fence. They came through the fence, and I kind of just stood there, and you can see, I was about to the curb, and this tent was not here when this happened.
Okay.
So I was right there. They come through here, hit that curb, and there were cops on both sides and behind me. And I just kind of ducked, fell over or whatever. And that's when they flipped in this ditch right up here. You can't see it because it's a tent now. But
so they hit that curb right there, huh?
Oh yeah, they bounced over this curb.
They bounced over it.
They definitely popped a tire.
Really?
Yeah, I would say so. They were going too fast for comfort, man. But yeah, I was sitting right here, and I crossed over, and I heard them, and that's when they come through this fence. So I was right about here, and they were right through here somewhere, and that's how close I was to them. And then there were cops on this side, and there was a couple of them that come through here also. So there was a swarm of unmarked cars, a Cadillac, which I didn't know at that point who was in there or what was going on. I just knew that there was cops everywhere, and this car was obviously trying to get away for some reason. And so when they flipped, I stood up, and their cops at that point already had guns, starting to draw them, I guess. And then the gunshot went off in the car, and then they let off some rounds, and then they pulled the dude out, and that was it.
So did you see them let the rounds off when they walked up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely. I saw there was two officers, and I don't know if it was the Evansville police or it was definitely a cop. Had pulled some sort of rifle or whatever they used out of the trunk of a car and turned around, and as soon as he turned around, I seen the shells come out of the gun.
You seen the shells?
Yeah, they definitely.
Wow.
They definitely opened fire.
And so where were you standing right when that took place, when you could see the shells? Were you kind of still walking this way?
Yeah, I had cut down kind of, and then when they passed, I was like, because I didn't realize how many cops were. They happened so quick, you know what I mean? I didn't realize there was how many cops were actually, how many vehicles was surrounding me and going at very high speeds, you know what I'm saying? But I had stood up at this point, and they had already flipped, but they hit that ditch or whatever, and the car stopped. And then I was probably about right through here, I guess, and there was a cop where that stop sign is. There was cars parked there, and there was a guy that got his rifle or whatever it is they use out of his trunk of his car and turned around. As soon as he turned around, this was after the gunner went off in the car. He had opened fire, you know what I mean? And then there was a couple more that did, and then of course they ceased fire and got the dude.
So after they heard the shots, is that when the shot inside the vehicle? That's when they.
Yeah, there was a gunshot. The first gun that went off was definitely in the car, and then that's after that is when they already had their guns already drawn, I guess. Assuming, and then they, after they heard the gunshot, they shot the car a few times or more, and then apprehended dude, and I scurried across the street so I could get out of the picture. Because I had no idea what was going on. I just thought it was way too close.
Wow.
But yeah, I was standing right here, and the Cadillac was right through here, and then there was cars all around, surrounding me or whatever. So it's like, number one, I don't want to get ran over because everyone was driving carelessly, and number two, I don't know what is happening. I just know that for the first 30 seconds of that, I was the only person out in this parking lot. So I don't know, in my head, I'm going, man. I do the cop, like they're obviously after this car for a reason, and for a very good reason, I guess. I don't want to get shot, ran over, nor do I want anyone to think for some reason I'm involved, because I don't know, you know what I mean? It was wild. It was a wild. That was my first day at Anchor.
Wow. And so when you were back over here, so they had. Did you see them come through that fence, or was
turned? Well, when I had got past as I hit the grass or whatever.
Yeah.
I turned around, and they had already. I could hear them come through the fence.
Wow! So you were already on the grass patch here?
I was coming off the parking lot, just about to walk right through here, and they had come. And that's when they hit the fence and then hit the curb. So by the time they got over, I don't know how fast they were going. I might have been walking fast. I don't know, but I know that I was touching grass as they came barreling through here, and then that's when I realized there was cops on, and there was 2-3 cop cars coming right through here. So I'm like this
in between the action and the chase and the backup.
Yep, they came through where you can enter right here at the stop sign.
Yeah,
there was cops on the road, and there was cops behind that car, and there was cops on the other end of that ditch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that was right the first day. That had to be scary as hell, man. So, so where at on the grass were you actually standing when they busted through that fence?
They come through this fence. They came through the front end right there, and they come around the frame shop all the way around it, and they hit that fence, and I was right through here somewhere. And when they did, I stopped because I heard, I didn't know if it was a crash from someone working there, what was going on at that point, until I realized, oh shit, that's a Cadillac going 100 miles per hour through a parking lot.
Wow.
So that's why I know they popped the tire, because I could hear. I heard.
Because you were, you were right here.
Look at how close. That's close.
And hit probably right through here.
Wow.
That,
wow, you were just feet from it.
You could hear, cars trying, the cops, the police or whoever trying to avoid this human being that's walking on the grass. That's where I was, but
holy crap! So
it was scary.
The gate's right there.
Yep.
And you're standing right there.
Yep.
And they hit right there. Look
crazy.
How close.
Crazy.
And then they both go straight down there. And then this structure wasn't here at the time.
No, because when they hit that curve, they kind of did it knocked them off the car out of balance. You know what I mean? Because they hit that curve real hard. So they scooted over a little bit, but yeah, that tent was not there, and I can't tell you how many police. I've never seen that many police in real life in one spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything that maybe general people might not know about what took place here, or any other things that maybe you can think about that?
Not other than what, like, I guess the news. I really watched the news after. I know that the other people that had witnessed it or whatever, they said that the news had said something false, or I don't know, but no,
that there were no shots fired, but there was.
All I knew was my first day, I clocked out, came out of a door, and then it's all right there in front of me.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. This first day, he
Wow.
walks out the door and he's got the suspects driving on the right side, the police chase driving on the right side. He's got agents that were on the highway driving through the left side, and he's just going in between. He said he just got down because he didn't even want them to think he was part of it, or didn't, and then after all that collected up there, that's when he booked over to the other side while they were hearing shots.
It's amazing I came back for his second day. I think I'd be like, I'm done. Just give me my orientation.
After we got done with the interview, he was like, "Man," he goes, "if that wasn't a sign." And I'm like, "Damn straight, man, damn straight." He goes, "Yeah, that was a sign." I was like, "Yeah, there was."
Wow.
Shout out. We're going to go to the next one. That was Jay Way. Shout out to Jay Way. Thank you so much. Headface on TikTok if you want to go follow him. Now these gentlemen, this is what was scary about this moment, and that's what I want other people to understand when it comes to these interviews. You see how far he is away, right? Now he's standing there. Those cars are flying by him, and you see how far it is until those vehicles get there. You saw me drive that distance. Now, when we talked to this other person, he was a lot closer to everything that was taking place. This is the person that was warning coworkers to go back inside because there were shots going on outside, and he didn't want anybody to get hurt. Now, these people, not only while they're being interviewed, and they're back here at the location, because we're not interviewing them at their house on their couch. This is at the location of when all this stuff took place. So when you're talking about a story and you're at the scene of where the chase ended, and you witnessed all of these things that were going on, you got to remember, we hear about all these shootings taking place everywhere. That's been going on for years. It's part of drills for everyday life anymore. And when you actually have something like that, even though it wasn't focused like that kind of a shooting, you were still in that environment because you didn't know what the hell was going on. Because when we talked to this other guy, his name is Levi. He didn't know. He didn't even know they were unmarked vehicles. So when it's a heat of the moment, you just see a bunch of cars, you see a crash, you don't even know. It's split second. You might not even know that these are unmarked cars, and you're witnessing a shooting that's taken place that you don't even know if it's, you don't know what it's a part of. So I want to say shout out to Levi. Sometimes when you're in the location and you're talking about these, it does put you back like you were there just at that moment. And so you're going to hear a little bit of that emotion when it comes to Levi here, because he really did. He was a lot closer, even though Jayway had cars flying on both sides of him. It was like Marty McFly's DeLorean, on fire tire tracks floating in between him, and he's looking back like Marty McFly, and you see the spinning license plate. This gentleman here, he was right down, just maybe a fourth of the distance from the person, a third of the distance from the person we just interviewed. And this is going to be a lot more emotional. So shout out to Levi for his comfort, and I want to thank him for sharing his story as well. So we'll get to that here once. All right, so we'll just let me see here. Okay, so this is Levi talking about, let's see, right here.
Saw that, and then it's
The chase before the crash.
Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I saw that, and then
Whoops, hold on.
way up there, and it died down, and I noticed there was like a high-speed chase up on the highway up there, and I
Oh,
thought
so you saw the chase before the crash.
Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I saw that, and then it's been so long ago now. It isn't the clearest, but I knew something was up because there was a lot of police presence, you know, like it wasn't just a typical chase. It was like a lot of vehicles going really fast. And so like, I usually sit out here and smoke a cigarette, you know.
Okay, at this picnic table here?
Right. And so I can remember I took my eyes away from over there, you know, at some point. It happened so quickly that when I looked over, there was a car flipped over in that ditch.
Oh,
you know?
really? Did you hear like engines revving as it was heading that way, or did you just hear like a boom?
For sure, because it happened so quick that, you know, by the time I noticed that there was already a large presence of other vehicles in the grass, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember being fixated on that car because that was really all I could see, you know, from this point, halfway between that flagpole and the next tree.
Really?
You know, standing there. And
That
it was about
close.
halfway down that ditch.
That close.
Maybe 3/4 of the way, you know, flipped over.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of black unmarked cars in the grass around it. And there was the sound of a shot, but it sounded like it was in the car. You know what I mean? But no sooner than I heard that shot, the guys in the black unmarked, they you know, started firing on the flipped car.
Do you know how many shots you heard maybe?
Like I said, it's so long ago, but it was definitely enough that I yelled at my coworker to get inside because there were shots being fired.
Oh, wow.
You know, so
Wow. And did you, was there any, I know you had mentioned that the police had mentioned on the news or something that there was no shots fired, but there were shots fired, so there was a lot of confusion going on.
They said EPD didn't have to discharge any weapons in the apprehension of the criminals, which I guess was true.
Right.
If the black unmarked were like marshals or
FBI marshals
Right.
and all those. It just wasn't the local PD that actually fired shots. It was other agencies. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you for your story. And so that was Levi. Shout out to him too, man. That had to be scary, you know. Like I said, when you think about all of the shootings that take place, and you know, the drills that you go through, and then you're just out there after work hanging out because the parking lot's busy as hell, because at the same time, this is why you see when you see the body cam, you'll see all these cars in this road right here, because like I said, it was during a shift change. You had a whole bunch of cars right up on that road too. So I don't know what they were thinking they were going to be trying to do at that moment. They, you know, they would have hit a vehicle or a tree or something. But that's right there. That's where it took place.
Wow. Man.
Yeah, he that's what, after the interview, he said, he's like, man, he's like, what, that took me back to like when everything went down. I was like, you did great, buddy. You did great. You did great. So shout out to both of them for their comfort, and thank them for both their stories. Crazy stories. One is like shocking, and wow, you're right in between, and it's you got one aspect of it, then you have another aspect. It's like both sides of the spectrum in a way, when it comes to the experiences of the eyewitness accounts. Thank you, Nicola. Yeah, shout out to them. So here's some of the body cam, and this is when they got to. This is the body cam when they were checking out the truck, and then after that, we're gonna go to the body cam when they were pulling up, getting up to the scene. So here's the one from the car wash, though. This is before the tip that, hey, this looks like the guy I've been seeing on the news. This is just them checking out the truck at this moment.
This is a return to a Dodge?
Yeah. DNF, I know.
They just left it. Thank you, Golden.
Sam 130. Then check. One F Frank T Tom R Robert W 12 W 86 K King C Charles 18262 press 1175. You attach that VIN to the run card. The plate returns to this truck. It's a Ford.
I bet they were shocked when they realized who that was.
Yeah, there's a clip in there too, But yeah, I'm surprised the plates came back okay. And maybe it's just because they bought it off the side of the road from somebody that was selling it, and they're like, "Yeah, let's go. We're gonna go get it checked out. Here's the money. We're not gonna take off with it. Wink, wink. We're gonna go. We're gonna go see if it runs. We're gonna take it for a joyride or something. We'll be back." And that's why they didn't consider it stolen or something. I'm not sure. I don't know how that business deal went down when it came to the purchase of the truck. I do not know.
Well, really don't know what you can do.
It's not coming back stolen.
Looks like every other Tennessee plate I've seen. It's 22.
So they're talking about the clip. They bought it. She had 90 grand in cash.
Yeah.
They left a perfectly good Powerade behind too. That's a shame.
Jeez. Yeah.
There's the clip. There's some kind of handle. I don't know what that is. Maybe they already collected the clip, because I think they already talked about the clip, actually. Maybe that was a topper for the clip. No, they were just buying vehicles as they went.
Wow.
Left the keys in it. That's probably from when the guy turned it on.
Ready? No paperwork on it. The only thing that's in a little bit of trash, and there's a charger and a Glock magazine loader. It's weird. Did they attach the van? So when it does get stolen, at least we have that information.
And then it stops right there. All right, let me get the next one for you. Now, this is going to be them showing up to the scene where everything was going down here. Let me see here 1 second. Okay, this is first aid efforts and then Casey's capture.
Hey, we need to clear some of this shit out of the way so we can get. Okay. He is. Oh, he shot himself. Davis, you good? You need anything?
And look at the damage to the car. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's the body cam. It looks all weird. Look at the damage to that car right there.
Mm.
No, she's good. Okay. She's still got it in her hand. I don't know. Got the gun in her hand? Yeah, she's got a gun. All right, watch it.
So he was driving, okay? The driver's seat is up there. She was in the passenger seat, and she was in the bottom. So who knows how it happened, right? But that's what they're saying took place. Whether you think she did it or not.
Hey, let's go ahead and pop. Let's go ahead and pop this front windshield. She's got the gun in her hand. She's still breathing. Okay.
Okay. And that'll be it for that one. Now I'm going to show the next one here because I don't want to show too much. So here's when they showed up at the scene here. Capturing. So you can see them turning right on that road. See all the cars right there?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And then right there at that corner. And then they already pulled him out. That's where you see them trying to get to her. And they already pulled him out through the driver's side. But he was wanting them to get help too. And he was calling his wife. Calling her his wife. Maybe it's slowed down or something. I don't know. So they're getting him apprehended. And yeah, you can see all those vehicles are all unmarked as well. So they're getting him apprehended. Now they're going to throw him on the hood. And he's still yelling at him to get help. Is my wife okay? A bunch of agencies involved. So this is another one.
The thing I wonder when I look at this and the way the car was, I mean, she did away with herself pretty quickly. I just wonder, like, if you did that and you got that kind of impact, does she really have the wherewithal to do that? I mean, you would think that she would be like dazed, and you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Maybe she didn't, she knew what she did. She knows. Imagine how she would have been treated in the system.
oh yeah, yeah,
You know what I
definitely. I
mean?
mean,
She probably just didn't want to. That's probably why they did that Bonnie and Clyde type shit and had the artillery to do so, because she knew if they got caught, you know what
I wonder if they had a pact or something. If we get caught, let's do each
had
other
to.
in, or, I mean, I can certainly understand why she would do it. But just like a few seconds before that, she was worried about the fence and she was worried about getting killed. And then she turns around and does that. And I'm just thinking, if I was in a car in an accident like that, I don't think I would have the sense to pick up
Well,
and do that.
you got to picture it like this: she wasn't caught when she was worried about the fence and she was worried about the airbags. They were still on the run. They were
Yeah.
still driving ahead and they still thought that they could have got back onto this road. Unfortunately, like with Jay Way's interview, he says when they hit that curb, they popped a tire. When they
Right.
pop when they popped a tire and they're sliding on the grass and the car crashes, that's when she knows the game's up. Because where's she gonna go? Where's she gonna go from there? She can't. She can't even open her door to run. She's literally trapped until they put her in cuffs. And so if she did, maybe that's why, is because at that moment she didn't have nowhere to go because she was stuck between Dirt and Casey. And he was probably all up on top of her because who knows if he had a seatbelt on or not. And even if he did, all of his body weight from the
Yeah.
accident might have slammed down into her and she was just scrunched. I mean, who knows? But the interesting thing is if they did have one of those, why he didn't himself. I think he knew his game was up. And he knew he's part of the system, he knows what's up at that point. And so if he was going to do that, I think he would have grabbed it and did that as well. Because it's not going to go very far after she would have done it. It's going to be right
Yeah.
there.
I know there was a lot of question when this first happened, if he did it or if she did it, if she had it in her
Right.
hand, if he, took her hand
he's
and
still
did
alive.
it. Yeah.
Because what she's the one that planned it out. So really, what would have he? This is where I think about it. Like, she had it all planned out. So what was she going to do to get him in more trouble, right?
Right.
So I don't know if he necessarily had a reason to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he did have a reason to do it, unless, I mean, I don't know, unless, like I said, unless she asked him, if something happens, please just do me in because I can't go to jail,
I think they were. I think what they were probably with the artillery that they had. I don't think they had a pact. I think what they were deciding on is we are going to go out by the return of what we would put out. With the
Yeah.
artillery, I think they were trying to go out that way. If they were going to go out, I don't even think them unaliving themselves was really part of it. I think it was just one of those situations where she had it in her hand. She knew she was up. There was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And when you have nothing to lose, you make decisions that you may regret 10 seconds later.
Right. I mean, I certainly understand all the reasons why she wouldn't want to get caught and face the rest of her life in prison, but I still have to wonder.
Oh, for sure. Because, like at the same time, he is a criminal. You know, why wouldn't, he's already did it to somebody else's pet, and he was threatened to go do it to them again if he got out. So he's definitely capable of pulling a trigger. So, who's to say that he didn't? That's why it'll always be a mystery as to what happened. But when I look at it and I look at the artillery that they had, I don't think that they had a pack, and I think that uh, he didn't really have anything to gain by. He had everything to lose, honestly, if he unalived somebody else, because what would he have? When you're looking at a decision and the balance of the for and against, there was nothing really, no reason for him to gain by doing so, because really it was her that had planned everything out and had set everything up, and he just went along for the ride. She would have got
Yeah.
the major charges with what she had done while they were together. He probably would have
Yeah.
just got a fleeing and escape.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, had they gotten away with it or at least been longer, I think he would have dumped her at some point. But
Oh, for sure. It's just an exit, a way to get out.
right. I think the only thing that she could have done is, claim that it's a long shot, but psychologically manipulated her, whatever, to reduce her own sentence.
Mm-hmm.
The
And he
only
could have done the same for her too,
yeah,
to
yeah,
reduce his. She talked me into it.
yeah. I mean, maybe it was. I don't know. I don't like you said. I don't really see a reason for him. He was going to be in jail anyway.
Right.
He
Yeah, the
wasn't going
reason,
anywhere.
part of it, and I might be wrong, but I think that part of the reason he was able to go back to the facility where Vicky was at was because he admitted to a crime that was giving him a life sentence. And so he wanted to go back to the facility with Vicky as a transport in between where he was going to be going for the next case.
Yeah. I
And
guess
so
it's
before
just
he went to that one permanently, he wanted to go spend time with Vicky. That was part of the thing. Not that he was planning to escape, that he just wanted to go back for a couple months to spend time with Vicky, because he knew he was going to be going to this other facility for so long.
right,
And him and Vicky had talked ever since he left there the first time. So that was his
right.
reasoning, as according to him, for going back there.
I just, this is a baffling case as to, what she was thinking. I mean, was she really in love with him? I mean, geez.
I'm curious, would prisoners consider him a hero for, as, they could take it as he corrupted her,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he looked at as some kind of hero in the system because of that?
That possibly. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the inmates, but at the same time, if she was popular with the inmates there, it would be worse for him. I guess it's just the way that he jumps out, when they pull him out and the first thing he says is, I didn't do it. It was like, well, I mean, that could be the truth. It also could be, you're an inmate, so you're probably not used to telling the truth. And it's just like, I didn't do it. She's hurt, whatever. I didn't do it, or she's,
What's up? What's up? Yeah, we all are lately here with all the shit going on with these electronics and the phone company. I heard somebody said T-Mobile was having issues today too. It's crazy. So I want to share the car wash guy. I want to say shout out to him, because without his information and going over this, here's the security footage, and then he's gonna be interviewed here from the news crew. Shout out to him, because without his information, I don't know if they would have even been apprehended. And also, there's like so many interviews with him from News Nation and Brian Enton. James Stinson is, just look up James Stinson, car wash guy, and I'm sure you'll see all the freaking interviews that he's done. Here's one that he did from back then, talking about going through the footage and putting in the tip. And it's a shame that he didn't get the reward for it, because without this, I don't know how they would have been able to do what they did. But
And James Stinson, the manager of this car wash, was a viewer. He saw these fugitives for the last 11 days. He knew what they looked like. He saw that car, that truck right there, parked in the bay, that did not move. He thought it was weird. He saw something. He said something. He actually went up and inspected that vehicle. He actually opened the door of that vehicle. He checked to see the keys were in the vehicle and thought it was weird. He moved the vehicle because it was blocking one of the car wash bays, and he called the police. And the police at some point stopped by, ran the plates, and decided it wasn't stolen. And that was that. But he didn't stop there. He looked at his security camera video. He saw that figure. You could see him lurking back there. That's Casey White back there. And you know something? This manager knew that his tattoos matched up with the tattoos he'd seen on TV. So he persevered, and he got that information to the U.S. Marshals, and you have the result you have now. James Stinson is a hero, and James Stinson is now with me live. Sir, congratulations. I don't know how important you think you are, but if it weren't for you, I don't think any of this would have happened. Do you realize how significant the role was that you played?
No, not really. I didn't intend to be a hero. And I kind of figured out it was him. I had a hunch it was him. I was concerned about a single local police officer stopping him, somebody getting hurt. I kind of figured it would end up in a high-speed chase, a gun battle, a shootout. Luckily, nobody was hurt other than the people that done this.
So my question to you is, when you saw that suspicious truck sitting in the bay of your car wash, and it didn't move for a very long time. You dropped your, I think your granddaughter off at school. You picked the granddaughter back up, and all that while that truck was there. How nervous were you when you approached the truck to take a better look inside?
I was really nervous because with the Tennessee plates, and I already heard that the SUV was abandoned in Tennessee. And I kind of slowly walked up to the truck and kind of glanced over, thinking somebody could be in it. Maybe asleep, would raise up, or passed out, or even dead. Nobody was in the truck. So I opened the door. The keys are in the ignition. I started the truck. The truck started fine. So I knew there wasn't nothing wrong with the vehicle to it being abandoned. That's when I went back and looked at my cameras, and I seen his tattoo on his arm. I pulled a video up on my cell phone of him down in Alabama, and the tattoos matched.
And that is you.
See, he did his own freaking sleuthing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then turned the tip in. You know what I mean? Like, he did his own sleuthing. He matched the tattoos. He was watching News Nation talk about it that weekend. Like, yo! And they had none the wiser because they showed up and checked the truck. It was this guy looking at the footage, matching the tattoos, saying, oh, shoot, that looks like this. Well, let me look it up enough to match tattoos even. Like, man, this poor gentleman. It's sad. It's sad.
Doing citizen sleuthing, because that's exactly what the U.S. Marshals determined, is that those tattoos were a match, even though it was very hard to see that that was the suspect, Casey White. So, Mr. Stinson, did you see anything inside that truck when you got in to get it out of that car wash bay? Did you happen to notice any wigs or any clothes or any receipts or anything that looked sort of unusual in that truck?
No, I didn't. But the police officer that walked up and looked inside it, he said, oh my God, there's a gun lock. He said, but I don't see a gun. He did see a gun lock. I'm assuming the gun lock belonged to her. Most law enforcement have gun locks. So, and he said, told me, there's nothing I can do about it. It's not reported stolen. And that's when I said, I'll have it towed.
So the officer said clip, and he said gun lock. Gun locks ain't nothing. I mean, everybody you should have one if you have a gun. Like, For real.
Yeah.
For your own protection, you know?
Right.
Like for your own protection.
So that's how it wound
So
up
you
at the
drove-
tow yard.
Yeah, so you drove it out of the bay, you call the wrecker, and all the while, are you a little bit frustrated that the police haven't shown up en masse to interview you about, you know, your surveillance tape and what you saw? Like this was a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I was wanting to go in there and show him the video and say, hey, look at this guy. And you could see him acting suspicious. I said, there's got to be something to this.
I mean, it defies logic that you're so close by, you call in a tip and it's a good tip, and no one, you know, descends upon, you know, your house or your place of business to ask you a bunch of questions and ask to see your surveillance tape. This all could have been wrapped up maybe a week ago, and Vicky White might not be dead if this were a week ago.
You know, where I made my mistake, I got to give thanks to the news media. Y'all the ones that brought this thing in, because when I called y'all got the ball rolling. So
Can I ask you about that reward money, Mr. Stinson? It's, you know, when I came to air, I thought it was about $15,000, but Brian Enton, our correspondent who you did an interview with earlier live on News Nation, he says it's up to about $25,000. I'll bet you could use that money.
Oh yeah, that's a big plus. But I'm not so much concerned about the money. I'm just glad nobody else got hurt other than the victims.
Do you have a message for Casey Cole White tonight, the fugitive they now have behind bars?
Stay where you're at. Stay put.
It's a good one. Mr. Stinson, I hope you get the reward.
Okay, there we go.
Wow.
So tomorrow, News Nation is going to have a special, so we'll be checking out some of that, and we'll be kind of doing a recap with some of the interviews and stuff, and we'll be talking some other true crime tomorrow night as well. I'm going to try my hardest to be on in the morning. I still have a lot more stuff I got to get knocked out of the way before I go do this trip coming up here for some more on location stuff. So yes, God bless him, and sweet man, right? Because like I said, without this gentleman, I'm sorry. I don't think you're able to do what you're able to do. Because I think they would have been gone at that point. I think by the time you catch up at that point, they probably would have been gone. Even though they stayed a week. Yeah, they stayed a week. But if you think about it, it took time for him to sit there and go, well, because he said he didn't get anything, nothing was happening until he started calling News Nation. And I think the reason is because, he gave him the tip about the tattoos and everything. And the reason they weren't saying nothing is because they probably wanted to keep it under wraps. But he probably felt that nothing was happening. Because they were trying to keep it under wraps, and that's probably why he reached out to News Nation, and then News Nation had no choice but to talk about it because they had the video now too. So.
Yeah. We've said it a bunch. I don't know why he didn't get the reward money, but shame on them. Definitely, he's a hero. Oh, dog's barking.
because it's like, why even offer a reward? And then when you do offer a reward and you don't pay it for something like that, then at the same time it's like, well, then what's going to make somebody else come forward with information? Because then they're outing themselves, expecting and then this situation happens. So you don't play with fire, and then you don't get burned, and that goes on both sides of the.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're putting a target on yourself, especially if they get away and you've turned in evidence. I mean, that's the whole point. And doing a reward is give somebody the motivation to turn in a tip. Hello, God.
Yeah, I mean, especially. He said he wasn't worried about it, and he wasn't, because any of the interviews after they interviewed him about not getting it, he was totally, he just wanted to help. And those are the souls that you need to take care of instead of dick over.
Yeah. I agree.
Shout out to him.
Yeah. this was such a sad, it was a sad case. It was a sad case for us, in corrections when it first broke. It was horrifying, like I said, but, at the end of the day, when all this happened and this was the result, it was just sad. It was depressing and sad that somebody could, an officer could pull such a thing and then end up, 11 days later in a ditch, unalive.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then the warden in Alabama, he's just she owes me some answers. It's like, bro, you should
Yeah.
you know.
You owe us in Alabama some answers as to how this happened to start with, sir.
Yeah, don't manage something you can't manage. You know.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause-
Yeah, I mean, I think about she was, assistant. So she was like second in command. I'm like, I think about the way our jail works, and I'm like, that would never happen.
Why wasn't anybody watching the footage, of her even? Because think about it. The person that that okayed it was, he okay. What the position she's in. So if you would have looked over or had somebody watching the footage, because somebody is only going by themselves, right? The situation before the situation happens. If you're watching that footage and you see how she holds the door open for him, right there, that should have told any other person you work with, something ain't right.
Yeah.
Something ain't right. They dropped the ball themselves and they were gaslighting it on to Vicky when it came to this being an opportunity, because if somebody would have said, hey, whoa, hold on a minute. Hey, hold on. Let me come out there with you, because come on, that's very odd to lead a prisoner instead of being behind them.
Exactly.
You don't lead a prisoner because then they can attack you without you even seeing it.
Well, usually you have two officers. One might be in the front opening the door, and the second one is coming up behind. So there's two of you, and I have to wonder if they knew they had a special relationship. I don't know how that was allowed to go on. For one thing, I don't know how you would keep your job and have any kind of softer friendship feelings for an inmate. That would be a red flag. If you see somebody interacting a lot, that would be a red flag for your coworkers. Like, hey, what's the deal with this? You got to ask those questions, as we do. We have each other's backs, but at the same time, you're always looking for, things that don't go along with protocol. And that was so out of protocol, her taking him. I'm like, it's baffling to me.
Before they even got to the car door.
Yeah, I am completely baffled as to how that they allowed this. And it's sad. It's sad because even if Vicky White, whatever, I'm not saying it's not her fault, but let's say she's lonely. Let's say she is crushing on Casey. God only knows why, but, for whatever reason, she finds him attractive. And, she has certain feelings for him. It is the duty of her coworkers to remove her from the situation. They should have noticed. They should have protected her from herself. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime you see something that just doesn't seem right, these people just a little bit too friendly, that's the time that you curb it. Because you know the dangers, all right? You know the dangers of this kind of life. You see all the time are other officers and inmates. That is your life as an officer. And so they should have seen the signs, and I feel like they were as guilty for not protecting her from her own bad decisions.
Exactly. I mean, and they didn't even get to the car door, and there was already a bunch of signs right there, and there was no reason
Mhm.
for you to watch somebody that wanted to break protocol take a male prisoner, and you didn't even care to watch the footage of them leaving. How in the hell was there? And then you let multiple hours go by before
Yeah.
you even look to see what happened. She ain't made it back yet, guys. Something happened. What's going on?
Well, they said, and somebody asked earlier why there were 6 hours. Well, they thought, okay, this was the story. He was going to court. Okay, first of all, this doesn't make sense, but
Mental eval.
yeah, he was going for an evaluation. Now, they would have to make sure that a deputy, you can't go somewhere without a deputy being there. If it's not the officer that brought you, that's staying with you, then there's got to be somebody that you're in contact with that is, understands, okay, we're bringing Casey White and, he's your assignment. He's going to see. So somebody has to be assigned to that to know that he's coming and what he's coming for. And then on her part, though, she said she had a doctor's appointment.
Right.
I'm going to drop him off and then I'm going to my doctor's appointment. So, the jail is probably thinking, okay, they're in two separate places. They're only in the car together for 5 minutes. Bad decision, but, there's a deputy to take care of him. So, by all this time, finally, several hours later, they're like, hey, where's Vicky? And it's, wasn't it her last day or something like that? And so they're like, well, maybe she's just goofing off. It's her last day. We're not really going to track her down that much. I don't know.
And if you're that worried about her, why wouldn't you watch the security camera when she's,
Yeah.
you know?
But I would think they would have had more of a closer tabs on Casey, because like I said, they may have said, oh, if she wants to goof off her last day here, she's earned it. But maybe she went to the doctor and she's shopping, who knows. But Casey would have been a different situation, and they should have immediately, when he wasn't back within like 2 hours or so, they should immediately called and said, hey, where's our inmate at? What's he doing out here? What deputy? And again, what deputy? There was no deputy that was assigned to him because he didn't have the appointment. So why didn't they know that? Like, somebody is not doing their job.
Yep. And then you had the warden sitting there going, she owes us answers. It's like, bro, no.
Yeah.
Your whole fucking crew owes you answers. That's who owes you answers. That's who owes you answers. She doesn't owe him an answer for what the hell she did. She don't owe him shit.
No.
But
I mean,
who does owe him is his crew. That's who
Yeah.
owes you answers.
Yeah, who's watching? Who's paying attention? Who let them out the door that way? And yeah, who was
allowed it?
scheduled? Yeah, because this.
Who
I mean,
allowed protocol to be broken?
exactly. I just know, like, if we have to take someone for an appointment, then they are going to have an assigned deputy take them and keep up with them the whole time. It's not like, but again, you already know who is assigned. The person who, is in charge of the deputies know what's going on, who's got appointments. You have appointments sitting there on your board for like, a week or two. You know what's coming up, who's going, who's coming. So I don't understand. I think my animals just unplugged everything I own here. So it went dark.
You're good.
I should be good for a few minutes though.
Oh, we're good. Yeah, I'm pretty much just showing the footage of the route that they would have took there as we're chatting. No, that's pretty much it. We'll go ahead and go through a recap tomorrow night. News Nation's going to be having their special on it. We'll go ahead and check it out from the CW side of things, and then we're going to be talking. We're going to be getting caught up on some of these other cases. Audrey Cunningham, Lakey Hope Riley, Elijah Vu, different cases that we've been covering. We're going to catch up on that stuff tomorrow night as well. And then also probably just talk about all the cases, Idaho 4, all of them as well. So are you busy tomorrow night? You got to work, or are you want to?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
to work the next 2 days. I'll be going to jail early in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be tomorrow. I'm gonna try and be on in the daytime. Not sure. It just depends on how quick everything during the morning goes. So I'm gonna try and get on and hang out for a little bit. If not, I will be back tomorrow night, normal time, as always, and we'll be having the true crime show tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, we're gonna be having our extended stream for the Koberger court hearing, and we'll be talking about that all day. And then we're gonna have a game night Wednesday night. So if you are you busy Wednesday night, Silky? You got you got to work tomorrow night too.
I
And
do. I
Wednesday
don't know
night.
what time. Yeah, I'm never
That's
sure
right.
what time I'm gonna come home on
Okay.
my nights, but I'll
Well,
see. If I'm home early, I'll check out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you got to join us again, and thank you so much for playing The Price is Right before. But we'll be playing all sorts. Whoever wins the contestant choice gets to pick whatever game they play, and then we're just gonna hang out tomorrow night and have some games and have some fun, listen to some music. So, thank
That'll
you
be
all. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. Thank you, Silky, for hanging out. Appreciate everybody, and
Thank you for inviting me and doing this case that my people have been asking for. Man, the interviews and all this video. You the man, CJ.
No, I'm just doing it for the community because I think it helps when we talk about these that you can see the locations. You can almost, instead of watching News Nation or something, you can actually hear the grass crinkle as I'm walking through it, or
Yeah.
or different, or even just the interviews of having a different perspective. That I've always been. I like to explain things in detail, so being able to bring the footage kind of helps being able to extend explaining all that stuff in detail. So even though you can't be there, I want to try and get you as close to there as possible, and that's why I do what I do. So thank you so much. Appreciate you. And I'm just going to go ahead and let this play out for a little bit. And no, thank you for joining because really not too many people even talk about this. It's not the Idaho 4, it's not the Delphi that gets the views and gets, all the clicks and all that other stuff. But it's something else that definitely needs to be shed light on, not only for the fumbaloos from the where it should have even been stopped, but the tragedy that took place because of those actions. So, yeah, it was a very great show, very interesting to kind of go back through again. And the interviews, shout out to both of them, Jayway and Levi, not only for their comfort, but sharing their stories with us, because those are two stories right there I never saw on News Nation. I never saw either one on News Nation. So shout out to them and thank them as well. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow night for sure. It'll be a last minute live. If I do, I'll drop it in the everyone chat. Otherwise, just look for me around 11 or so, and maybe you'll see me on. Have a peaceful and positive evening. Thank you, Silky. Thank you, community.
Night, y'all.
Peace. Please be safe and stay warm out there. It's still freezing. I'm tired of it. Summer's coming, baby. Summer's coming.
That's right.